Bastard, the woman smiled shyly. She used the clog in her hand to gently smack Passa's bum, and helped him into the house. Take a seat. I'll boil some water for you to wash your feet, Clara said as he put Passa on the bed. Passa opened his eyes to glance at Clara as he exclaimed inwardly, Boss Hades did not lie to me indeed. A 70% drunk man can make you cry with his acting. Father, are you peeking at mother? A little head appeared, followed by another 2 little heads. Hush! I brought you guys goodies. Passa took out the peanuts and sweets Boss Mag had packed for him, and passed them to his 3 children. All right. The 3 children took the packet, and went aside happily to eat. Mag closed the door, and ended the day. Right now, no one could find Josh. However, the net was cast, and the sea was full of fishermen. He would be caught sooner or later if he still wanted to cause trouble. Based on his understanding of Josh, Mag knew that the former had been plotting for so many years. Now that the Norland continent was in such a precarious situation, Josh would never let things pass so easily. Therefore, Mag only had to wait for Josh to jump out on his own or come knocking on his door. Mag switched off the light at the door. Just when he turned to go upstairs, he saw Irina and the 2 little fellows sitting in a straight row at a table, looking at him. Why? Do you want to eat supper? Mag asked with a smile. He thought they had gone to sleep. If it's supper, sure. Amy nodded without thinking further. Hot pot would be fine too, Irina said. Annie nodded along. Meow, meow. Ugly Duckling stood on the chair at the side as it meowed in agreement. All right. I'll get the ingredients ready. Let's have hot pot. Mag walked into the kitchen with a smile. Right, Mother, weren't we looking for Father to discuss upgrading the tavern business? Amy asked Irina as she blinked her large eyes. It's all right. Having hot pot will not affect our discussion, Irina said with a smile. Oh. Amy nodded thoughtfully as she dangled her 2 short legs. She suddenly jumped off the chair, and ran to the kitchen door. While Mag was preparing the ingredients, she said, Father, I want to have some yoshao. The kind that you put in the hot pot to cook for a while. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website mythanks. Alright, but it will take some time to make the yoshao. You'll have to wait for a while, Mag replied. No rush. Father, you're the best. Amy nodded her small head. After that, she ran over to bring a little stool over to the kitchen door and sat there, blabbering with Mag. The little fellow would always have random ideas on what she wanted, sometimes yoshao, sometimes soybean milk, sometimes durian pizza, therefore, Mag would always have small amounts of prepared ingredients in the refrigerator, such as prepared dough for the yoshao. All he had to do was to form it into long strips, and prepare the pot of hot oil, and it would be ready for frying. Not long later, a double-flavored pot was put on the table. Mag brought out 2 large trays of ingredients, including the golden yoshao, and laid them on the table. Amy reached out to take 1 yoshao. She placed it near her mouth, and blew on it gently before giving it a big bite. The freshly fried yoshao was fragrant and crispy. The little fellow smiled subconsciously to display her happiness. Mag helped Irina put a plate of different mushrooms into the clear soup. This was her favorite way of eating. The thick bone soup had become a mushroom soup, making it even more delicious. The soup on its own was already very good. The light, refreshing soup had become rich, just the way she liked it. Irina picked up a slice of beef, and dipped it in the clear soup. She looked at Mag, who was adding red soup base to her dipping sauce, and asked, "Are you intending to let your tavern be like that?" "Like what?" Mag dipped his chopsticks in the dipping sauce and tried it. He nodded with satisfaction. "We have no customers every day, so we have nothing to do." Amy swallowed the yoshao in her mouth. She looked at Mag seriously, and said, we can't continue to be lazy like this. Therefore, what must we do to have more customers and earn more monies? Mag knew what the little fellow was thinking of. Earning money was definitely the more important goal. He was rather glad that the little fellow had such a realistic sense of money. At least he would not be worried about her being in need of money. Of course, the little billionaire would never need to worry about money for the rest of her life. Naturally, earning money was just a hobby. But that did somehow coincide with what Mag was planning to do. The mission for the tavern had already been given, and it was the third day since he had opened. Saipan Tavern was only making a small hole in the military's circle. Although his earnings had increased from 2,000 copper coins to more than 10,000 copper coins, his popularity was still pathetic, at single digit. Oh, right. That man who had Mao Tai just now also added on to the popularity of Saipan Tavern. However, it was still at a single digit. Where are the earnings for today? Irina reached her hand out to Mag with a smile. Here. Mag froze for a while. He recalled his arrogance at the door just now, but still handed over the money bag with today's earnings to Irina obediently. What is your plan? Irina asked Mag with a smile as she kept the money. Mag's marketing strategy would not only stop at that if he could make Mamie Restaurant the top restaurant in Chaos City and rake in all the loyal customers to make the restaurant a full house every day. As the saying goes, good wine needs no bush. As a tavern, the key to good business still lies in the wine, Mag said. Don't tell me you want Amy to drink at the door. Irina frowned. Mamie Restaurant had already used this tactic several times at Mamie Restaurant. How's that possible? Children can't drink. Mag quickly waved his hands. If not. The fragrance of Mao Tai is irresistible to all drinkers. Starting from tomorrow, I will pour a cup of Mao Tai, and lock it up in a cage at the door to attract the passing customers and surrounding residents, Mag said with a smile. This idea, Irina thought for a while, and nodded in agreement. Superb. However, if there are more customers, it might be a little more tiring for you guys. Since the tavern has only opened for a month, I do not have the intention to hire workers for now, Mag said hesitantly. It's all right, I can settle the cashier's role. Irina waved her hand calmly. I can entertain the guests with my cuteness. Amy blew on the tripe that Mag had cooked for her as she pouted cutely. I can serve the dishes. Annie signed. Chapter 2027 It's so embarrassing. A commotion broke out all over the Norland continent. All the races questioned the Roth Empire following the giant dragons. They demanded Andre to hand out Josh and investigate this matter to give an explanation to all the races. Meanwhile, this matter also caused huge repercussions within the Roth Empire. Mutinies broke out in many military camps after the news of Bloom being murdered and him shouting out Josh's name before he died spread in the military, which was forced to shoulder the blame initially. A few Roth Empire's generals, with Marshal Dominic in the lead, requested Andre to investigate this matter thoroughly and give all the courtiers in the Ministry of Defense and Bloom an explanation. The Roth Empire was turned upside down overnight. Andre sat in the royal study alone, and looked at the report submitted by Dominic in front of him. Other than him, there were 3 other generals' signatures on it. Andre's expression was grave, and veins were twitching on his forehead. He was obviously on the verge of a violent rage. After being alone quietly for a long time, he finally said to the door, "Let them come in." The royal study's door opened, and 10 odd of the Roth Empire's most powerful courtiers streamed in, and stood on both sides with complex expressions. If launching a war on the Orcs and the Elves was still within the Roth Empire's range of control, then Second Prince Josh allying himself with the devil could shake the core of the Roth Empire. Andre's gaze swept over all the courtiers present, and he gravely said, "Josh was manipulated by the devil, and has committed such unforgivable crimes. From today onwards, his title of prince will be revoked, and all departments will pursue him with all their might to give the civilians and courtiers who died innocently an explanation." Many courtiers heaved a breath of relief secretly after hearing that. All the courtiers bowed, and said, "Your Majesty is wise." Andrei's current statement meant he had already given up on Josh completely, and the fight for the throne that had lasted for years was finally over too. Shan would become the Roth Empire's future king. The courtiers in Shan's faction had a glint of joy and excitement in their eyes. Shan won easily, despite being evenly matched with his rival initially, due to Josh's stupid behavior. However, the courtiers in Josh's faction didn't look too good now. This matter had shaken the entire Norland continent, and even His Majesty had to make a stand, so they naturally wouldn't poke their heads out at a time like this. Furthermore, they were thinking about how to make a clean cut with Josh. In times like this, no ordinary people could withstand any connection to the devil. Andrei paused for a while before saying, "I will announce to the world that Shan will become the crown prince. The Roth Empire is irreconcilable with the devil, and will join all the races to resist against the devil's invasion. We will eliminate everything that is related to the devil." This news from the Roth Empire's palace quickly spread all over the Norland continent. It reached everyone who was concerned about this matter. "He's indeed a sly old fox. He's much faster and decisive than I expected." Mag received the news earlier the next morning too. He passed the secret missive to Irina, who was drinking soybean milk. "It's within our expectations. He has already lost his space to choose. It'd already have been the abyss if he'd chosen to take a step back. Compared to losing a son who has already lost control of his actions, this decision isn't hard to make." Irina only took a quick look before she continued to drink the soybean milk. "That's true." Mag nodded, but he was still rather satisfied with this outcome. At least the show that they had put on the other night had met his expectations perfectly. There was already no place for Josh to hide in this vast world. For a person who aspired to be the next king of the Roth Empire and a show-off, this was worse than killing him. After eating breakfast, Mag brought Irina and 2 children out shopping again as usual. Their daily activities were just so leisurely and comfortable when they didn't have to open for business. Of course, he sometimes would still feel a little guilty whenever he thought about Mamie Restaurant's customers waiting for him to return at the restaurant's door. Amy put on her little bunny hat, looked up at Mag, and expectantly asked, "Father, where are we going to play today?" Mag looked at Amy, and said, "Let's go to the book square in the west of the city today. I heard it's the biggest book square on the Norland continent, with countless big and small bookshops. We can find any books if we look hard enough." Amy's eyes lit up, and she said, "Great! Then I can buy some pretty picture albums. I saw some children reading some interesting picture albums yesterday." Annie's eyes brightened when she heard about the picture albums, and she began to look at Mag with an expectant gaze. "The books over there are all for children." Irina didn't agree with Mag's review, but she didn't object to Mag's suggestion, either. Mag hailed a horse-drawn carriage. He gave the coachman instructions, and they headed straight for the book square in the west of the city. The West City Book Square was, in fact, just a square that was formed by many bookshops. Almost half of the bookshops in Rodil were situated here, and almost all the magazine press set up their headquarters here. There were big bookshops that were thousands of square meters big and small bookshops that were just a few square meters big, with all kinds of ancient books stacked up high. Going through alleys and turning corners, perhaps you could just find the materials you sought high and low for in an inconspicuous corner. The horse-drawn carriage stopped in front of the biggest bookshops. Mag paid the coachman, and they alighted from the carriage. Amy leaped off the horse-drawn carriage. When she saw a giant painting of a chef in front of the bookshop's entrance, she was amazed, and said, "Wow! Isn't that father?" Irina and Annie looked surprised too. It was a magazine cover that was over 2 meters tall. It was from Perfect Food, and was the publicity picture of the new issue. On that cover, apart from the words Perfect Food, there was an uncolored sketch of a chef. Be it the clothing or looks, it did look like Mag. Of course, most importantly, there was a line of words next to the figure, "Number 1 chef on the Norland continent, Mag. It's so embarrassing, Mag shook his head. Ho ho. You should have received the news long ago, right? Irina looked at Mag with a smile, as if she had already seen through his tricks. I heard that the magazine would be released today, but I didn't know it would be released like this. Mag shrugged. If he had known, he wouldn't have minded sending the editorial department a good-looking full-length picture of him so that he could attract more female fans. Chapter 2028 These people are only after my body. So, did you do anything scandalous with that editor behind my back? Irina looked at Mag judgingly. That editor is a guy. Mag had an innocent expression. This headline was really misleading. Why were the shocking headlines already a trend in this world? A guy. Irina had a weird expression. This is not what you imagine, Mag quickly explained. What do you think I am imagining? Irina didn't make her point clear. Forget it. I will just go buy one copy to prove my innocence. Mag walked towards that bookshop with exasperation. In actuality, he also wanted to see what the perfect food did with this issue. Could it achieve his anticipated effects of publicity? Mag and his family went out rather late, so most of the bookshops in the book square were already open. This middle-sized bookshop already had many customers in it. Mag deliberately chose a bookshop that was rather boisterous so that he could see for himself if the perfect food was indeed as popular as those two chaps said. Boss, I would like to have a copy of Perfect Food. I would like to have 3 copies of Perfect Food. I would like to have 2 as well. Mag saw a group of people crowding at the bookshop's counter and yelling as if they were ordering food as soon as he entered. It's so popular? Is this for real? Mag cocked his eyebrow, and looked at the people crowding at the counter skeptically. The crowd were mainly young ladies. Mag approached a maiden standing at the edge, and asked, "Young lady, why are you all buying this book?" That young maiden flicked him a glance before excitedly saying, "Mister, you might not know, but this is the first time that our idol is accepting a magazine's interview formally. Moreover, it's said that there is a picture of him in the magazine." Idol. Mag frowned. Isn't this a gourmet magazine? Why is there an idol in there? Of course this is a gourmet magazine. Our idol is a super formidable chef. He has once received the #1 chef's title from the king on his birthday's feast, but he refused to stay in the royal kitchen. The eggplant with garlic sauce that he created made the vegetarianism break its highest sales record ever. He created. That young lady was very familiar with Mag's achievements. Mag's expression got increasingly weird as he listened. Why did this plot sound so familiar? Forget it. You won't understand even if I tell you. You don't even cook. That young maiden retracted her gaze disdainfully before nobly saying, "He is the idol of us chowhounds. A man who was born to transform the world of chowhounds." I got it. I got it. Mag nodded. She was his fan. That was nice. However, looking at those young maidens buying up the magazines fanatically, Mag was a little puzzled. Since his fan groups had already appeared, why didn't his faith value have any changes? His over 30,000 fan count all came from Chaos City. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website mythanks. The god of cookery's faith value is based on the other party being inspired to learn to cook by you and act upon that thought. The system's explanation rang in Mag's head. So, these people are only after my body. Mag took half a step back with caution. Eventually, Mag managed to buy 4 magazines. It was also considered as supporting himself. According to the system's explanation, fans who were after his looks and talents didn't count. He had to convert them into solid fans who would take the initiative to try cooking on their own. Now, this was really hard. Everyone had a folder in which they kept a bunch of workout, cooking, and travel tutorials that they would never open again. Yes, we are talking about you. Trying to get a whole lot of people to learn cooking from him with just one magazine was indeed a very difficult task. Of course, if this magazine was popular enough, and had a great base number of readers, he could still get a portion of effective believers even if the conversion rate was a little low. There you are. Mag passed a copy of the magazine to Irina. He then passed the other 2 copies to Amy and Annie before reading one himself. He had read the script before, so he wasn't worried that there would be stuff which couldn't be seen. However, he was rather surprised that the perfect food had used the entire cover to promote him. Wow! He's so handsome. His mustache is so sexy. He's indeed my idol. He is really the man who can even mesmerize Princess Vanessa. It's so worth it. I am going to buy 10 more copies. However, before Mag could flip open the magazine, the young lady's excited exclamations could be heard. I told you there's nothing between Vanessa and me. You should believe me now, right? Mag said to Irina. Irina lowered her head as she flipped through the magazine. Without even looking up, she said, neither you nor she have the guts. Mag felt a warm feeling in his heart instantly. This was trust. Flipping open the magazine and skipping over the content page, the very first page was his interview. This interview, which was written by Milo, was rather well written. Of course, Mag still didn't think that his style was good enough. Apart from the questions that they had discussed that day, there was a big chunk of praise written at the back, such as handsome and alert, a gentleman. It was so realistic. Irina looked up, and said to Mag disdainfully, "Tisk, tisk. This author. Does he have any ideas on you? I will stay away from him in the future." Mag nodded. At the end of the article was a reminder, there is a tutorial for the eggplant with garlic sauce written by Mr. Mag himself at the back of the magazine, and a picture of Mr. Mag is included. Mag skimmed through the content page, and he flipped to the second in the middle of the magazine. He skipped over his recipe, and indeed saw that very cartoonish drawing. Irina took a look at that drawing, and then asked, "Do you feel that this is you?" Mag hemmed and hawed for a long time before saying, "It's just a sketch, so it has to satisfy the reader's imagination. It doesn't matter that it doesn't look like me." Yes. This drawing looked nothing like him. However, the sketch still looked rather handsome. The artist had done a good job and deserved praise. At the very least, judging from the maidens' reactions, it adhered to their tastes perfectly. "Why do you want to get famous suddenly?" Irina kept the magazine and looked at Mag doubtfully. "Oh well, we always have to try new things in life." "Speak properly." "I simply want to see how famous I can get by cooking alone," Mag said seriously. Irina stared at Mag for quite some time before nodding. "That's quite good. Good." Mag and his family found a bookshop with many picture albums but no customers, and went in. The 2 children looked for the picture albums that they liked in the midst of the books, while Mag chatted with the bookshop's manager. Mag swept a quick glance in the shop, and said, "Boss, why are you not selling Perfect Food magazine? The other shops are doing a brisk business selling it." That bookshop looked at the customers who were crowding at the other shops' respective entrances to buy the magazine, and pursed his lips disdainfully as he said, "Ha! What's the point of selling a gourmet magazine? You can't earn much selling that. If I can get the exclusive selling rights of a few bestsellers, that will really earn me money." "Oh, there are bestsellers here." Mag was a little surprised. Although he had collected many ancient books, he didn't know the books market in this world very well. The boss pointed to the next door bookshop that was still closed, and said, "Oh yes. Can you see that bookshop next door? They only sell 3 books. They released 1 issue every 10 days, and they can sell 300,000 copies every month. With those sales alone, that boss married his 8th wife last month." With a shocked expression, Mag asked, "You can marry 8 wives here? Your focus is rather unusual." The boss gave Mag a weird look. Irina's gaze swept over, and she looked at Mag with a mysterious smile. "Why? Are you planning to marry 8 wives too? Mag went white. He realized that he had said the wrong thing, and quickly corrected himself. No, no, no. How would I ever have such lustful and extravagant thoughts? The boss looked at Irina, and enviously said, your wife is much more beautiful than his 8 wives combined. Of course. Mag stood up even straighter. Irina curled her lips slightly and retracted her gaze. She flipped through a picture album randomly. Oh, yes. What kind of books are the most popular in this book square? Mag asked the boss. The best-selling books have to be the Knight's storybooks. Alex's storybooks were breaking all the sales records back then. Men, women, adults, and children were all crazy over Alex's storybooks. Every edition was a bestseller. No one could break his record now. Those colored storybooks and picture albums with Alex as its protagonist are even more highly sought after. The boss looked wistful, with a hint of nostalgia. There is something like that. Mag raised his eyebrows. He felt that something was amiss. Don't tell you don't know who Alex is. The boss gave him a disdainful look before continuing. Irina and Alex had made a great name for themselves on the Norland continent back then. They left behind countless stories and legends, which are important source materials for countless authors. They supported a big group of authors. Yes. I just moved to the city from the countryside. Mag nodded, and then looked around quickly. But you don't have any picture albums that are related to him now. The boss finally got it. He now understood why he was a country bumpkin. He explained, Alex reappeared recently, and he put on a shocking show of the return of the king. He saved the world alone, and created new waves in the hearts of the Roth Empire's people. He is very popular now. However, he deserted the Roth Empire, and was disrespectful to the king in his words. No authors would dare to write about him, let alone we, bookshop owners. Who isn't fearful for their own lives? If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website mythanks. I see. Mag was thoughtful. He wondered if he could attract more fans since his popularity was so high now. The boss picked up a storybook from the shelf at the door, and smilingly said, the Knight's storybooks are still the main attraction in our shop. The children love to read stories about knights defeating the villains, the maidens love to read the stories about knights defeating villains and saving beauties, the men love to read the stories after the knights defeated the villains and saved the beauties. Mag looked at the storybook that the boss passed to him, Dragon Riding Warrior Battles Medusa in a Demonic Cave. This. Mag frowned slightly before putting that magazine down calmly. Sounds like a heated battle. He he he. The boss made a series of obscene laughter that all men knew very well. Mag pretended not to understand, and said, Boss, are your authors popular? Do they have a lot of fans? About this? It depends on the individual, the boss said. Usually, the ugly authors wouldn't show their faces. They would try their best to create a sense of mystery, and give the readers space for imagination. Meanwhile, most of the authors who are handsome like you would get great illustrators to paint their portraits on the books to attract fans who like them besides their talents. Of course, there are also some shameless authors who would dress in drag to keep their fans. Naturally, such methods are not permanent. The fans are all fickle now. There are actually so many secrets within the trade. Mag was amazed. He didn't expect that there were so many trade secrets. Oh, yes. Didn't you see that Perfect Food magazine's cover earlier? It's really shameless. It's a gourmet magazine, but it failed to promote food, and instead used a chef's portrait as the selling point. Does one make more delicious food simply because he's more good-looking? Moreover, perhaps that chef looks like a ghost, the boss said disdainfully. Mag frowned a little. He felt that the man was scolding two people. The owner sized up Mag, and asked, Why are you asking so many questions? Don't tell me that you want to write novels too. I am just asking casually. It's good that you are not serious about it. Writing novels and drawing comics is a dead end. Not everyone can do it. I make 10 odd illustrators and authors cry daily, the boss said with a laugh. As soon as he spoke, it showed that he was an old capitalist. Mag flipped through the picture albums on the shelves casually as he chit-chatted with the boss. He was thinking about the probability of transforming the teaching tutorials into picture albums. Compared to the immature spread of video technology and the dry literature, the picture albums with words and pictures had a relatively mature operating system and a group of readers. Wasn't it quite a suitable means of transmission? The two little ones chose a bunch of picture books. Annie rarely chose more picture albums than Amy. She took dozens of them. It was obvious that the little one liked picture books a lot. After paying and leaving the bookshop, they spent half a day in the book square, and Mag bought many ancient books and popular storybooks. He even sneakily bought a storybook about Alex from a boss in a small corner bookshop. Amy halted her footsteps, and turned to say to Mag, "Father, I'm hungry. What are we eating today?" Mag skimmed through that picture book about that dragon slayer battling the evil dragon, and immediately sent it to the corner of history's rubbish. Be it the story's plot or the drawing style, it was difficult to imagine that storybooks of this standard were treated like a treasure by that boss. Of course, this could be due to the scarcity of the topic. They returned to the tavern after lunch. The two little ones were reading the new picture books happily, while Irina went out to run errands. Mag was left behind to read through the few ancient books that he had just bought to kill his boredom. Although he was holding a book, Mag wasn't reading it. Instead, he was thinking about Josh's possible actions in the future. The Roth Empire's war with the Orcs and the Elves was already over for the past few days. The initially tense situation became mysterious due to Josh's incident. The Orcs, who had lost dozens of tribes, wouldn't let it go so easily just because they said Josh was being controlled by the devil, and the Elves, who almost lost their city of life, would demand an explanation as well. Andrei didn't make any response, and he even dispatched more troops to the borders. The situation was still as tense as ever. Now, Josh was being hunted on the whole continent. He could be deemed a public enemy, and was targeted by countless pairs of eyes. It became difficult for him to stir bigger trouble. However, they still could not find his traces now. It was also a troublesome thing. "Father, take a look at this. This is Big Sister Annie's drawing." Amy's voice interrupted Mag's deep thoughts. He looked down at the drawings that were passed to him, and his eyes lit up. There was a little elf with silver hair on the drawing. It was drawn by watercolors, and Amy was the model. The artistic style was juvenile, but it made it look cute and innocent. Moreover, every stroke was smooth, making the subject alert, cute, and realistic. "Wow! It's a great drawing." Mag looked at Annie with shock. "Is this your first time drawing, Annie?" Annie nodded with a smile. "Yes, it is. I only know how to draw not very round circles, but Big Sister Annie already can draw me," Amy said proudly, as if she had contributed a part in it. "She's a superb natural at drawing." Mag caressed his chin as he looked at Annie with bright eyes, and said, "Annie, are you interested in becoming a comic artist?" Annie tilted her head and looked at Mag, as though she didn't understand what Mag was saying. Mag explained, "Comic artists are professional picture books illustrators. These picture books are created by comic artists." Annie's eyes lit up when she heard that. She nodded, and said in sign language, "I am." Mag smilingly said, "That's great. You can continue to draw whatever you like first. If you are really interested, I will give you a script later, and you draw a story according to the script." Annie nodded obediently. She sat down and read through the picture books before picking the watercolor brush at the side to continue drawing. In this case, perhaps the project of Cooking Master Boy 1 can be launched soon. Mag rubbed his china and thought deeply. Amy saw that Mag was in a daze, so she softly reminded, "Father, remember to go get customers today. I really would have forgotten about it if Amy hadn't reminded me." Mag patted the little one's head, and then walked to the bar cabinet. He took out the half bottle of Mau Tai that Irina had drunk 2 days ago under the bar cabinet. He opened the cap and put a small glass of Mau Tai into a small container that resembled a small aromatherapy diffuser. The semi-sealed small container had a few tiny holes on top, which allowed the liquor's fragrance to diffuse out slowly and not escape all at once. Fishing for liquor lovers was similar to fishing. First, he had to make a bait. He would use the liquor's aroma to congregate the liquor's lovers, and he would have no shortage of customers then. This method was a little different from operating restaurants. After all, as long as a restaurant wasn't a roadside stall, it couldn't attract customers with its aroma easily. Mag took the specially made liquor holder out with a small iron cage. He placed the little liquor holder into the cage, and put on a small lock before hanging it on the pillar in front of the door. Mau Tai's aroma whiffed out slowly. Although it was very slow and diluted, it still continued to spread its steady and unique fragrance. The faint liquor's aroma spread to the surroundings with Saipan Tavern as its center point. "That smells so good. Is that a liquor's aroma?" "Yes. It smells like liquor's aroma, but where can we find liquor that smells so good?" The customers couldn't help looking around them when they passed by. They wondered where this enticing liquor's aroma came from. Meanwhile, some liquors lovers already found the little metal cage hanging in front of Saipan Tavern following the aroma. "What is this? Why is the liquor locked up? This is a new tavern, right? I have never heard of it before. Perhaps it's trying to seduce its customers with the liquor's aroma." "We are indeed seduced, but this tavern isn't open yet. It'll only open at 6 p.m. Many passers-by congregated at the tavern's entrance by tracing the liquor's aroma. They stared at the little holder in the metal cage and salivated. At the same time, they felt helpless when they looked at the operating time on a wooden plaque hanging on the door. In Titan Tavern, Eofi just came downstairs after her nap, and a server told her, "Look, lady boss. That tavern opposite already has many customers congregating at this time." Eofi stretched out, displaying her curves under her loose cotton clothes as she lazily said, "Did they finally decide to have an opening promotion?" According to her observations in the past few days, Saipan Tavern operated just like a child's play. Its opening time was extremely short, and there were only a few customers. It seemed more like a hobby. "No, I think the boss placed a cup of liquor at the door, and the customers were all attracted by it." The waiter shook his head. "A cup of liquor?" Eofi was slightly taken aback. She strode to the tavern's door, and looked at the 10-odd people gathering in front of Saipan Tavern, which was diagonally across the street. They were indeed surrounding a small metal cage that was hanging on the pillar at the tavern's door. Her nostrils flared a little, and her brows furrowed slightly. Although it was far away, there was indeed a faint trace of liquor's aroma in the air. As a woman who inherited her family business and operated the Titan Tavern for 10 over years, although she couldn't brew any excellent liquors herself, she had a great understanding of liquors. She had never seen liquor that could give out such an aroma at such a distance. Eofi murmured, "With such excellent liquor, not to mention Romo Street, Saipan Tavern would even have a place in the entire tavern's world in Rodu." "What are you saying, boss?" The waiter didn't catch her words. "Nothing. Be more respectful when you see the boss from that tavern across in the future." Eofi retracted her gaze and instructed the waiter before going back into her tavern. "Even if I cannot have him, I have to have his liquor." Irina wasn't back yet, and Annie went upstairs to draw. Mag looked at Amy, and smilingly said, "Little Amy, let us serve the customers that come to the tavern today." Amy nodded obediently, clenching her fists, and said, "I will be gentle with them." Mag opened the tavern's door, and smilingly said to the 10-odd customers waiting outside, "Thank you for waiting. Welcome to Saipan Tavern. Boss, you really open on the dot. You won't even let us in to wait when you see us waiting outside for so long, a customer complained as he had never suffered such grievance before. It was all because that liquor's aroma was simply too enticing. The other customers also grumbled. The tavern will be open on time every day. All of you will just have to come after the sun sets, Mag replied calmly. The opening time would not change. This was the tavern's rule. Even though they were a little displeased with Mag's inflexible reply, since the tavern was already open, they weren't going to stand at the door. They all went in, wanting to taste that mesmerizing liquor. Mao Tai 2,000 copper coins a bottle. Whiskey 2,000 copper coins a bottle. The customers discovered the price tag of the two liquors and the side dishes hanging obviously above the bar counter. It's so expensive, someone exclaimed. There weren't many taverns on Romo Street, and their prices were usually friendly to the ordinary people's pockets. They were usually priced from tens of copper coins to over 100 copper coins a bottle. However, this tavern's two liquors were priced over 2,000 copper coins a bottle. Boss, are you selling your liquor by the vat? A customer asked. They are displayed on the cabinet. Mag pointed at the cabinet which was filled with the two kinds of liquors. It's a little expensive for such a small bottle. I have a friend coming over. I'll go fetch him. What a coincidence. I also have a friend. In the blink of an eye, there were only 3 or 4 customers left in the tavern. A man in an official's robe asked Mag, Boss, what is the liquor that you hang at the door? Mag pointed at the round Mao Tai bottles on the cabinet, and replied, It's Mao Tai. I would like a bottle of this Mao Tai and a helping of each side dish, that man said before taking a seat with the man who came with him. The customers were placing their orders. The customers who stayed behind naturally could afford a bottle of 2,000 copper coins liquor. They, too, placed their orders and took a seat. 2,000 copper coins a bottle liquor was considered expensive on Romo Street, but it wasn't an unusual price at the famous taverns and bars in the north of the city. And the liquor's aroma was what attracted these customers to order a bottle to try. A black horse-drawn carriage slowly drove on Romo Street. Abraham was sitting in the carriage with a grave expression. He had just come out from the Ministry of Defense. Because of Josh's incident, he, who hadn't been caring about the official affairs for a long time, stepped into the Ministry of Defense for the first time. However, the incident was as bad as he had heard before. Josh was no longer the Josh he knew, and there was no way Abraham could oppose Andre's decision. The devil was indeed a terrifying existence. He didn't know how Josh got involved with the devil. Perhaps no one would ever know. Currently, he couldn't do anything about it. He didn't even know how to explain this incident to Vanessa. He only wanted to find a place to have a drink alone. Right then, a whiff of liquor's aroma came in through the carriage's window. What fragrance is that? Abraham's nostrils flared, and he lifted the carriage's curtains in surprise. A whiff of liquor's aroma washed over him, and the words Saipan Tavern appeared in his line of vision. Stop, said Abraham. The horse-drawn carriage stopped after moving forward for a short distance. Abraham said, Turn back to that tavern behind us. The horse-drawn carriage turned back, and stopped in front of the tavern. Abraham alighted from the horse-drawn carriage, and sized up this tavern that looked rather new. His gaze was quickly attracted by the small metal cage hanging on the pillar at the door. A cup of liquor was locked up in there. The enticing liquor's aroma came from that small cup. This liquor's aroma is simply too enticing. Abraham went up to take a sniff before he pushed open the door, and walked into the tavern. Since he wanted to have a drink, he should have something good. If he was going to get drunk, he was going to get drunk on good liquor. There weren't many people in the tavern, but as soon as Abraham entered, he almost fainted over the rich liquor's aroma. It was the aroma of the liquor that he had smelled at the door, but it was much richer and seductive in the tavern. Furthermore, judging from how those customers were sipping and savoring the liquor with small glasses and their sated expressions, this liquor was indeed a great one. It didn't just smell nice. Amy saw Abraham, and her eyes lit up immediately. She was about to call him. Mag happened to walk out of the kitchen with a plate of pig ears salad. His gaze, too, flickered when he saw Abraham. He calmly asked, "What would you like to drink?" Amy threw a glance at Mag, and as if she suddenly remembered something, she shut her mouth obediently, and didn't make a sound. Abraham looked at the pig ears salad on Mag's tray, and was surprised at how similar this red salad was to the sliced beef and ox tongue in chili sauce. Even that spiciness smelled similar. He took a quick look at the drinks list on the wall, and said, "I will have 1 bottle of what they are drinking and a helping of each side dish." "All right." Mag nodded, and went to serve the dishes. Abraham retracted his gaze. He intended to find a seat when he saw that quiet little girl sitting behind the bar counter. The little girl looked about 4 or 5, and her looks were exquisite. She had a head of black hair and a pair of shiny black eyes. She sat there quietly, looking very well behaved and cute. "I didn't expect this boss to have such an adorable daughter." Abraham couldn't help thinking about Mamie Restaurant. He wondered where Boss Mag and Little Boss were now. He really began to miss Mamie Restaurant's delicious food. "Hello, little girl." Abraham greeted her with a smile. "Hello, fat grandpa." Amy greeted him docilely too. "How dare you?" The guard at the side turned solemn. "How dared this little girl call the Lord Duke that? He is so fierce to me." Amy immediately looked pitiful and whined. There were tears glistening in her big eyes. "What's wrong with you? Go out, go out." Abraham turned around to kick that guard on his butt, and chased him out before smiling pacifying Amy, "Don't be afraid, sweetie. Fat grandpa already chased him out." Amy immediately revealed an angelic smile. Abraham heaved a breath of relief as he looked around him. Fortunately, they weren't at Mamie Restaurant. Otherwise, Little Boss wouldn't say anything about being afraid. She would just release a fireball instead. All he wanted to do was to drink quietly. He did not want to think. He just wanted to get drunk, go home, and sleep. Everything else could wait until tomorrow. Not long later, Mag brought out 3 side dishes and a bottle of Mau Tai to Abraham. "Thank you," Abraham thanked Mag, but his gaze was already attracted by the 3 side dishes. The peanuts were peeled and fried, with a layer of chili and sugar on top. Multiple spices had already been infused into the peanuts, making the fragrance very distinct. "It looks not bad. I will try these drunkard peanuts." Abraham reached out and threw a peanut into his mouth. Crack! It was crispy. A gentle bite caused the fragrance of the peanut to explode in his mouth. At the same time, the flavors of the spices infused into the peanuts also blossomed. For a tiny peanut to contain so much flavor and changes, making it increasingly fragrant the more he chewed, did catch him by surprise. Incredible! A tiny little peanut could be done so beautifully. Besides, it goes really well with the wine. The numbing spiciness attacked his lips, and just as Abraham was exclaiming at the wonderful taste of this drunkard peanuts, he unknowingly opened up the wine beside him. The clear liquid was poured into the crystal glass. Abraham brought the glass up to his nose, and the rich fragrance of the wine wafted into his nose. Even Abraham, someone who did not really like drinking, could not help but exclaim, "Great wine!" Abraham knew a thing or two about wine tasting. He did not chug the glass of wine down straight away. Instead, he took a deep whiff of the fragrance, and allowed it to swirl around in his head. After that, he took a small sip. The warm and fine liquid wet his lips, and flowed into his mouth. It had a rich fragrance, and was very gentle and fine with a refreshing taste, complementing the drunkard peanuts. After swallowing the wine, he could still taste the fragrance in his mouth. To think such great wine actually exists in this world. "I'm afraid all the great wines from the different places would be a far cry from this," Abraham exclaimed. All these years, the king had received great wines from all over as tribute, and Abraham had his fair share of tasting these wines. However, none of them could surprise him as much as this Mao Tai. He could not help but take another sip. This time, he closed his eyes to taste the various flavors within the wine. It was not sweet like fruit wine, and it was not bitter like grain wine. This wine was so mesmerizing, and could make one fall right into it. Abraham had no idea what skills the winemaker employed or what was added to make the wine like this. After that, he could not help but recall the past, how he had to be extra cautious during the fight for the throne, and how his brothers had killed each other. Now, Josh and Sean had gone on the same path, and Josh had even lost himself on the way. He was now on the path of no turning back leading into a deep abyss. This child! How could he be so foolish? Tears welled up in Abraham's eyes. It was as though he could see the little fellows when they were still children right before his eyes. Ah! Abraham sighed. He sniffed and controlled his emotions. He put the glass down, and looked at the pig ears salad and pig tongue salad. To be honest, when he first saw these two dishes, he was immediately reminded of Mamie restaurant and a salad of a similar bright red, the husband and wife lung slice. The familiar spiciness and the ingredients that no one would usually serve, pig's ears and tongue. He would not even suspect it if someone told him this was the new dish Boss Mag just launched. However, he was indeed shocked to see these two peculiar dishes in a newly opened tavern in Rodu. Could the owner have gone to Mamie restaurant to learn? Abraham turned to look towards the wine shelf, where the owner of the tavern was sitting behind the counter, reading a book. Boss Mag has been hustling all his life. He would never be in such leisure. Abraham turned back and picked up a piece of pig's tongue with his chopsticks. After being reshaped by Mamie restaurant, Abraham's view of delicacies was completely different. He now was very accepting and embracing of such strange food. After all, he could eat the pig's eyes that would explode in his mouth. The pig's tongue and ears were just a piece of cake in comparison. He picked up a piece of pig's tongue that was covered in red oil. The feeling he got from picking it up felt like lean meat. After the tongue was sliced into thin pieces, it surprisingly did not look disgusting. It was just like a piece of beef with a layer of red oil on top, garnished with some sesame seeds. It actually looked rather enticing. Abraham could not resist putting the tongue into his mouth. After that, he took a bite. The spiciness of the red oil exploded in his mouth first. Its rich fragrance and numbness spread from the tip of his tongue. After that came the flavor of the pig's tongue. It was braised fragrantly, and the unique texture of the pig's tongue was even chewier and juicier compared to beef. The tongue had completely soaked up the braising sauce. It was spicy and numbing, and the umami caused his taste buds to shiver and come to life after a really long time. Rib. Abraham suddenly felt multiple buttons from his shirt burst open, exposing his long johns. What the? Did he steal Boss Mag's spice sauce? How can it be so good? Abraham was stunned. He looked at the plate of pig tongue salad in front of him in disbelief. Compared to wine tasting, his real expertise was in food tasting. On a small deserted street, a new little tavern opened, and he managed to find food as good as that of Mamie restaurants here. Oh my heavens! If this owner has not learned from Boss Mag before, he is simply a genius. Abraham took a sip of wine to suppress his shock. He looked at the pig ears salad at the side. The pig's ears were also covered in a layer of bright red oil with sesame as garnish. They looked very appetizing. Without any hesitation, he put a piece of the pig's ear in his mouth. The spiciness was still the same, but the pig's ear had a special cartilage, which gave it a crunchy and marvelous chewing experience. The soft pig's ear covering the thin layer of cartilage gave it a crispy crunch as Abraham chewed. This is superb. Abraham raised his brows. He felt so much more relaxed. Indeed, food was the best cure for anything. However, the best way to have it was with great wine to complement the former. A sip of wine, a bite of food. Even though Abraham was alone, he still enjoyed himself. Just then, a group of middle-aged men wearing official uniforms entered the tavern. They found an 8-seater, sat down, and ordered a few bottles of wine and a few side dishes. "Little brat, come over here and pour us some wine," a middle-aged man said as he pointed to Amy, who was sitting behind the counter. Chapter 2033 I wonder if I may have the honor of pouring your wine. Yesterday, when the king announced that Josh was the culprit of the case, the heavy burden on the shoulders of the Ministry of Law was finally put down. Today, a few of the courtiers from the Ministry of Law had decided to come out for drinks. They heard from the Ministry of Defense that there was a newly opened tavern on Romo Street, and the wine there was too good to be true. Therefore, they came over to try. The moment they stepped in, the fragrance did hit them. However, upon seeing the simple renovation, most of them frowned. But they still sat down on account of the alcohol. Alden was one of the higher UPS in the Ministry of Law. He was the one who organized this drinking session, and most of those who came along were his confidants. After days of suppression, he invited everyone over for a drink and to relax. To him, this tavern was rather bad. The price of the wine was high, but there were only 3 pathetic types of side dishes. Even things like peanuts, pig's ears, and tongue were served on the table. However, this tavern was decided on by Lord Joseph, who was Alden's superior, and joined in this drinking session at the last minute. Therefore, Alden could not reject him. However, the service of this tavern was terrible. There was not a single service staff available to pour their wine. In other taverns, the moment they entered, the owner would personally go up to them and pour their wine. Therefore, he targeted the little girl sitting behind the counter. Although the lass was a little small, she was rather cute. Getting her to pour their wine would still be rather pleasurable. Therefore, Alden pointed at Amy, and commanded, "Little brat, come over here and pour us some wine." Alden's voice was not soft, and his command made many heads turn. Many of them had noticed the owner's cute little daughter. She appeared to be only 3 or 4 years old. How dare someone come up with such an unreasonable request, getting her to pour wine? However, when they turned to look and saw Alden and the gang, they quickly looked away. Many officials were wary of the Ministry of Law since nothing good would come out of being noticed by them. Joseph frowned upon hearing that as well. He glanced at Amy, who was sitting behind the counter, and said, "It's all right. A child so young wouldn't know how to pour wine. Sir, there is no need to sympathize with her. It's just a bottle of wine. Since they can't afford service staff, someone got to pour the wine for us, right?" Alden waved his hand with a laugh. He looked at Amy, who was still sitting behind the counter, and said coldly, "Little brat, didn't you hear what I say?" "Little brat? Are you referring to me?" Amy looked at Alden in bewilderment as she propped her chin on her hands. "Is there anyone smaller than you?" Alden glared at Amy. "Here." Amy lifted Ugly Duckling, which was on the chair next to her. "You must be calling him, then." "AOO." Ugly Duckling, who was dressed up as a yawned and continued sleeping on the counter. Everyone smiled upon seeing that. "You? Are you kidding me?" Alden's face turned black. No one had ever dared to tease him in front of so many people. Amy shook her head seriously, and waved her hands as she said, "You don't look fun to kid." Alden slammed the table, and stood up as he howled, "Impudent! Do you know who I am?" "Sir, since you're an official, isn't it inappropriate to bring up such a request to a child?" Mag walked out from the kitchen with a cleaver in his hand as he stood beside Amy. Irina happened not to be in the tavern. Otherwise, the foldable chair would probably have smacked this high-ranking little fatty to the ground. The other customers in the tavern also looked at Alden with displeasure. How could such a big-sized official treat such a cute little girl so unreasonably? That was simply detestable. Alden laughed. He looked at Mag, and said, "You darn peasant. I am an official in the Ministry of Law. Getting her to pour my wine is her honor. Aren't you afraid that I will close down your little tavern and throw the two of you into prison? Exactly, you've only opened a pathetic little tavern, and you think you're somebody. Aren't you going to apologize to Lord Alden? Otherwise, it would only take a word to seal this tavern of yours. The other officials at the table chimed in. They had not seen such an arrogant person in a really long time. Upon hearing that, the other customers quickly turned away, afraid to be implicated. Joseph was rather unhappy hearing that. He hesitated, but did not speak. Mag pressed his lips together. He swung the cleaver in his hand, and decided that he would not want this tavern any more. Prison your head! Just then, a shout came from the corner. A big silhouette rushed over from the corner, and he pressed a plate of half-eaten pig ears salad into Alden's face with a smack. Slap! The plate fell to the ground with a crisp sound. The tavern was dead silent immediately. Everyone looked at the stupefied Alden with his face smeared with red oil and pig's ears in shock. This was a big boss in the Ministry of Law. Such a distinguished status and identity. Sir! The other law officials were also stunned. They did not expect someone in this small tavern to do such a thing to Alden. This fatty is getting into trouble. Everyone looked at the plump, rich businessman, and could not help but worry for him. Although he had done something that everyone wanted to do, he also had gotten himself into trouble. *CK, Alden came back to his senses and was furious. Your Highness! Joseph, who was at the side, stood up immediately. He was stunned when he saw Abraham, who was dressed like a rich businessman. Your Highness! Alden was stumped. He removed the pig's ear that was covering his eyes, and saw what the large man actually looked like. His legs went jelly, and he kneeled down immediately on the broken pieces of the plate. Duke Abraham! One of the most distinguished persons in the Roth Empire, and also the beloved and most trusted brother of the king. Although he almost had no real power, everyone knew very clearly that Duke Abraham was ranked way higher than the other dukes in His Majesty's heart. In the past, Duke Abraham contributed greatly in helping the king ascend the throne. Although he was a high-ranking official, it was nothing at all in front of this duke. Your Highness! The other officials at the table quickly stood up, and bowed respectfully to Abraham. This duke had not interfered with politics for many years, so they had not managed to recognize him immediately. Lords of the Ministry of Law, I wonder if I may have the honor of pouring your wine? Abraham asked with a seeming smile as he received the handkerchief handed over by his butler to wipe the red oil on his hand. Chapter 20:34 He's so fierce, I'm very scared. Alden's face had already become swollen, and it was beginning to hurt. He even had a few pieces of pig's ears hanging on his face. The red oil trickled down his face to his neck, dripping on his official suit, but he did not dare to wipe it away. Abraham was known to be good-tempered. However, those of a certain age, or of a certain position, would know very clearly that he had killed two of his older brothers in the past to help the current king ascend his throne. He was a ruthless person. I wouldn't dare. I wouldn't dare. Alden quickly shook his head as drops of perspiration formed on his forehead. As someone with a lot of experience in the political scene, being aware of the situation was basic. Alden could tell that Abraham was in a bad mood right now. Joseph quickly said, Your Highness, you must be kidding. How could we have you pour our wine? We didn't notice you in the tavern earlier. We should have gone over to greet you. The other officials from the Ministry of Law all agreed. They were all flustered, and were no longer as arrogant as they were. So it's Duke Abraham. I didn't expect him to be drinking here too. Yet. These lords are in for a good time. In that case, this tavern has quite some backing. Even Lord Abraham is backing them up. The other customers in the tavern understood the situation. While they were shocked at Abraham's identity, they were also watching the show to see how things would turn out for Alden and the gang. Their arrogance just now had rendered them so pathetic. This turn of events was rather satisfying. Abraham looked at the kneeling Alden and scoffed. I think you're so used to being an official that you think everyone has to bow down to you when you're outside, right? Even such a young and cute little girl has to pour your wine. Your Highness, listen to me. Just then, Amy, who had been watching the show, suddenly turned to grab Mag's arm with tears welling up in her big eyes as she said pitifully, "Boo-hoo. He's so fierce, I'm very scared, it's all right, it's all right." Mag glanced at Amy. When did this little fellow become such a drama queen? Look, you've scared the little girl, and you're still trying to find excuses. Abraham kicked Alden to the ground, and felt even angrier. He was furious to begin with, and this incident completely pushed his temper out. Alden coincidentally came over, and became the target for him to vent his anger. Alden was walloped, but he did not dare to retaliate or dodge. Even his moans had to be stifled. Joseph and the others watched at the side with their expressions changing, but none of them dared to go up to stop or persuade Abraham. Even if they were officials from the Ministry of Law, with Abraham's status, he would at most get some scolding from His Majesty since the beating was done. Nothing would really happen to this Duke because of them. Alden got into trouble because of his words. At least Abraham would not beat him to death there and then. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website mythanks. Abraham got tired of beating Alden and stopped. He glanced at the man who was lying on the ground, covering his crotch, and said, "I'll let tonight's incident go. Let me tell you. This tavern is under my care. If any of you need someone to pour your wine, look for me, and I'll make sure to satisfy you." Everyone quickly shook their heads. Who would dare to actually do that? Mag looked at Abraham in shock. He did not expect Abraham, who was back in his place, to be so fierce and overbearing. However, it was a good thing for Saipan Tavern to be under the care of a duke. I didn't expect to have a sugar daddy so quickly. Mag nodded. It was naturally the best if he did not have to handle some small problems personally. With Alden as a warning, there would probably be no one who would dare to create trouble at the tavern for a long time. You wasted a plate of my pig ears salad. I'm taking this away. Abraham took the set of pig ears salad away from the table, thought for a while, and took the pig tongue salad along with him as well. Joseph and the others naturally would not say anything about that. Abraham went to the counter with a smile, and told Amy, "Little girl, don't be afraid. Fat Grandpa is here. Nobody will dare to bully you again." He was a completely different person from who he was just now. Him. Thank you, Fat Grandpa. You're so suave. Amy nodded her little head as she looked at him with admiration. Hee. Abraham returned to his seat with satisfaction as he mumbled to himself, "This little fellow is so obedient. If only little boss Amy spoke half as nicely as her." Alden was helped up from the ground. Some of his companions took out a handkerchief to help him wipe away the pig's ear and red oil on his face. There was still a very clear plate mark with a bruise here and there. It was a very sorry sight. I will not drink with everyone today." Alden was completely embarrassed. Right now, every part of him was in pain. All he wanted to do right now was to find a healing magic caster to heal him. "I'll see Lord Alden out." One of the officials helped Alden out. The rest also knew that Alden would not be able to stay behind, but they could not leave. If they left, it would be akin to saying that they were unhappy with Abraham. Mag brought a mop over to clear the red oil in case the other customers were to slip on it. Joseph and the others started to see Mag differently. He was a mysterious owner of a tavern, and his daughter actually dared to call Duke Abraham Fat Grandpa. Who exactly was this fellow? You'd be shocked if you knew. Mag smiled. He naturally knew what these lords were thinking. After Alden left, Joseph and the others drank cautiously. Although they had great wine with them, they were in no mood at all. Abraham was drunk. He finished more than half a bottle of Mao Tai, and had 6 plates of side dishes alone. His Highness was a great help just now, so this meal will be on the house, Mag told the butler, who was about to foot the bill. The butler glanced at Mag, nodded, and said, "All right. I will tell His Highness." Mag watched with a smile as 4 big men came in to bring Abraham out. This was the benefit of a powerful fatty going out. There would be people to carry him home even if he was drunk. After Abraham left, Joseph, and the others who were tipsy, settled the bill and left. At 9:30 p.m., Mag sent out the last drunk customer. He flipped the tag hanging at the door to announce the closure of the shop for the day. "Boss Mag, can we still go in for a drink?" An old man and young man looked at Mag with a smile at the door. However, because of that, he looked less like a member of the Ghost Clan, and more like an ordinary old man. "Come on in." Mag naturally wouldn't reject their request to come in for a drink. Since Morant had recovered from his injuries, he would return to his search for Josh. He was a giant living radar. Mag closed the door, and smilingly asked, "What would you like to drink?" "Boss Mag, we will have the liquor that you gave me previously. My grandpa has been scolding me for wasting good liquor for the past few days," Noah replied miserably. He had been lectured by his grandpa for that small bottle of liquor in the past few days. "Is it Mao Tai? Take a seat first. I'll go make you some side dishes to go with your drinks." Mag nodded, and went into the kitchen. Shortly after, Mag came out with 3 side dishes and a bottle of Mao Tai. Noah was playing with strings with Amy. "You are so stupid. You can't even do this. Oh heavens! It's not like this. You have to go through here first. You are so stupid. It's not this string, it's that one. So stupid." Amy, who wasn't good at playing strings, met Noah, who was very bad at playing strings, and finally discovered the fun of this game. "Seems like I'm really stupid?" Noah stared at the bunched-up yarns in his hands with wide eyes, and thought hard. Morant crossed his legs as he watched Amy and Noah smilingly. He looked just like an ordinary old man, and not like a big boss from the Ghost Clan. Mag pulled out the cork, poured Morant a glass, and asked, "How's your injury, old master?" "I have completely recovered. I can do anything now," Morant answered, but his gaze was completely attracted to the liquor in the glass in front of him. This liquor was extremely fragrant. He had never smelled such an enticing liquor's aroma even when he had lived for 700 years. Therefore, he kept thinking about it after he drank the last few drops of liquor in the bottle that day. He already couldn't wait when he smelled that liquor's aroma which drifted in from the street in the house. He came to ask for a glass of liquor after the tavern closed. "Come, have one." Mag could see that Morant was focused on the liquor, so he wasn't in a hurry to discuss the matter. Morant picked up his glass, and solemnly said to Mag, "Thank you for saving us and for your hospitality." "You're welcome." Mag clinked his glass with Morant's before taking a sip. Morant downed his glass in a single gulp. This liquor was sweet and soft when it hit the throat. Its rich aroma spread in the oral cavity like a dense fog, trapping one within it. "This is good." Morant only opened his eyes after a long time, letting out a long sigh. He had never had such great liquor in his life before. He felt a little high after downing one glass of it. A warmth emerged from the bottom of his heart, making him feel warm throughout. Mag poured another glass full for him, and smilingly said, "If you like it, old master, just drink as much as you like. We have plenty of it. Then, I won't stand on ceremony with you." Morant picked up his glass, and downed it in one gulp again. He hadn't drunk a sip of alcohol for the past few days while he was nursing his wounds. He couldn't wait to drink alcohol again. "See, can I have some too?" Noah said softly as he reached out for the bottle. Morant looked up, and said to him, "A child can't drink alcohol. You're just responsible for pouring it for us. Go get yourself some water." I'm already an adult, Noah rebutted. Morant pursed his lips, and said, that's according to human standards. In the Ghost Clan, you are just a baby. You're not even as old as Little Boss. Noah was actually lost for words at that moment. The eyes of Amy, who was holding a glass of freshly squeezed juice, lit up, and she smilingly said to Noah, really? Then, can I call you Little Brother Noah in the future? No, you can't. Little Brother Noah. I said no, you can't. You have to be good, Little Brother Noah. Amy reached out to pat Noah's head before taking out a candy, and passed it to Noah. I don't want it. Noah rejected it with exasperation. This is a preserved plum candy. It's sour and sweet. It's super delicious. You definitely have to try it, Amy said with a serious expression. Really? Noah threw a glance at the tiny candy in Amy's palm and gulped. Come, sniff it. Amy tore open the wrapper, and got close to Noah. The preserved plum's faint sourish aroma could be detected. Noah gulped. It was indeed the preserved plum's sourish and sweet taste. For you. Amy placed the candy on Noah's hand. After a brief hesitation, Noah still tossed that preserved plum candy into his mouth. The sourish sweet taste made his face scrunch up for a second, but after he got used to it, the taste was mesmerizing. Smiling, Amy said to him, after eating my candy, you will be my little brother in the future. Noah was full of question marks. Father said that you can't beat me, so resign to your fate. Amy was still smiling brightly, but in Noah's eyes, that smile became the smile of a little devil. She was indeed the offspring of formidable parents. Although Amy was only 4 years old, she was Alex and Irina's daughter. A product of such a terrifying union had to be in existence with extraordinary talents. Otherwise Krasua and Urian wouldn't have fought to have her as their disciple. As for whether she was indeed more powerful than Noah, the latter had already heard about how she had won the championship at the Magic Caster tournament by defeating an 8th-tier Magic Caster after coming to Rodu. Hence, it's all this little preserved plum candy's fault that I became your little brother? Noah was a little sad, and he looked at the sky. It's fine, little brother. Big sister Amy will protect you in the future, Amy spoke in a mature tone to her new little brother. Noah had no doubt about that. This was a monster that had defeated an 8th-tier magic caster at 4 years old. Perhaps she would become a great magic caster before she turned 10. Moreover, she was a super second generation who was well versed in both long-range offensive and close combat magic, and had a father who was the mightiest powerhouse in this world and a mother who was the most beautiful in this world. In fact, even the princess of the Roth Empire paled when compared to her. Of course, he would kneel down even quicker if he knew that the Archbishop of the Holy See was currently searching for her everywhere to get her to be their holy maiden. Since they were drinking, Mag didn't discuss any serious matters with Morant, as the latter would forget everything when he woke up tomorrow morning. Mag might as well save his effort. After drinking half a bottle of Mao Tai, Morant was knocked out and lying on the table. Mag put down his Mao Tai, which still had half of a small cup left, and said to Noah, "Come and have breakfast tomorrow morning. We'll talk about it tomorrow." "Alrighty." Noah, who didn't drink a single sip, carried Morant on his back and left. Looking at Mag, who just returned after closing the door, Amy expectantly asked, "Father, did I perform well today?" Little Amy has done an excellent job. You'll be rewarded with a big chicken drumstick tomorrow." Mag nodded. The little one's acting skills were so natural that nobody could link her to that cute and fierce little boss who placed her hands behind her back when she collected money from the customers. A smile bloomed on Amy's face, and she nodded her head. Little Amy likes big chicken drumsticks. Moreover, there were even some slave owners who gave some of their lands and properties to their former slaves, giving them a means to survive in the city of life. Of course, not every elven noble was willing to give up their special privileges and return to normal again. Therefore, all the big and small resistance movements began to appear in the City of Life and everywhere in the Wind Forest. The elven slaves charged at the nobles' stores and domains in attempt to end their slavery by snatching their slave contracts. Meanwhile, the night elves began to get active, helping the elven slaves to fight for their freedom. This exercise was just a raging fire. It swept through the Wind Forest in an instant, and was already beyond control. Surprisingly, Helena didn't intervene at all. She didn't even render any assistance when the slave owners sent her calls for help. The garrison didn't provide any support, either. In the Starry Cave. High Priestess, in the current situation where all the noble families are under attack, and their slaves are escaping, please order the garrison to arrest those rioters. The Wind Forest will collapse if this continues, a middle-aged elf worriedly said to Helena, who was sitting on the platform. There were also other elven nobles present, and they were also looking at Helena worriedly. The Wind Forest's system was on the brink of collapse, and Helena, who had set up and promoted this system, chose to ignore and sit out of this terrible revolution. Helena was silent for a long time before she turned around slowly to look at the several elven nobles and domain lords below. There was a hint of a sneer in her gaze. All the elves avoided her gaze and looked down. If you guys had done your part to uphold the contract that I had set up with you years ago, and had been completely loyal to the Queen and the elven race, this wouldn't have happened today. I have finally understood what went wrong after pondering for days. It wasn't me or the system. It was because I had chosen you greedy and lazy fellows back then. Since a wrong was done, someone needs to be responsible for the consequences to appease our people. Helena's cold voice echoed throughout the cave, and a light wall rose up at the cave's entrance. Thud. High Priestess, please forgive us. We are loyal to you and the elven race. Spare us, High Priestess. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website mythanks. The elves in the cave fell to their knees immediately, pleading for mercy. Save your breath for the time to apologize to our people. Helena waved her hands, and 2 troops from the garrison came forward to escort the elves away. The sounds of pleas gradually died down beyond the cave. The Starry Cave soon regained its peace and quiet. Ha, cutting your losses. You didn't even hesitate. A chuckle rang out in the cave, and a figure in a long silver dress slowly walked in from the entrance. I can do anything for the elven race. What's getting rid of a few pests? Helena looked at Irina, who halted her footsteps. Irina mockingly said, then you should commit suicide to make amends for your crimes first. After all, you had specially picked those pests and made them fat. You're now using them as your scapegoats. It's so despicable that it didn't look like something that a high priestess would do. Helena wasn't provoked by Irina's words. Instead, she calmly said, I have exhausted myself, and spared no effort for the elven race. I have no regrets. I'll leave the comments to the future generations, but now I'm going to lead the elves into the next phrase. You have already lost that right. I am still standing here. No one has that right other than me. I will make the elven race great again, Helena said confidently. Irina coldly said, our people chose you and the Queen to lead them out of the Dark Age back then, but you have led most of our people into a darker age for the past 100 years. Everything is over now. Our people have already woken up, but you're still not willing to admit your mistake when most of our people have chosen to oppose the system that you're promoting. What right do you have to talk about making the elven race great again? This time, I will let them choose the ruling class that they like. If the Queen was here right now, she would also stand on my side, Helena said with a frown. You're wrong. The elves don't need a ruling class. It's not powerful garrison troops or impenetrable fortresses which can't be overrun that can make the elven race strong again, but freedom and equality that the other races envy and the determined heart to defend the Wind Forest. A magic caster's staff appeared in Irina's hands. Just like you now. Helena looked down at Irina. I'm surprised that you didn't bring Alex this time. This is my matter. I don't need him to do anything for me, even though he has already done a lot, Irina answered calmly. You are the most talented elf in the last 1000 years. You once had the chance to lead the elven race to a greater future. The Queen and I had high hopes for you, but you fell in love with a human, and even had a bastard with him. This is an unforgivable betrayal. Helena had a disappointed expression. This is none of your business. Irina smiled. Furthermore, meeting him was the luckiest thing in my life, and that child is the most beautiful gift that the god of life has bestowed upon us. In fact, sometimes I even think that you became such an obstinate old lady because you never met a man who loves you in your life. We talk too much. I came to fight you, and not argue with you. Irina interrupted Helena. She took a step forward with her magic caster's staff, and disappeared on the spot. She reappeared above the platform, holding her magic caster's staff high above her head with both her hands, and smashed it down onto Helena's head. The starry sky crystal ball hovering in front of Helena released a starry sky barrier. The magic caster's staff landed on the barrier, and made a dull thud. The barrier vibrated strenuously before it disappeared, and the force of the magic caster's staff was dissipated too. However, the holy light exploded at that very moment. That night, a terrifying battle shock wave broke out in the starry cave. The tree of life lit up brightly, and a thread-like beam of green light connected to the starry cave. That battle lasted for over an hour before the starry cave collapsed. A purple-striped griffin landed on the ruins, and left with Irina. The elves dug out the seriously injured Helena from the ruins. That old witch still has some things up her sleeves. Irina lay face down on the griffin's back. She slowly lost her focus, and lost her consciousness. Ozii looked back with concern, and flapped its wings even harder as it flew towards Rodu. I'm a good fighter, Ozii, leave the city first, but don't go far. Stay at the usual place, Mag instructed Ozii. Ozii nodded. It flapped its wings, and disappeared on the horizon. Mag carried Irina downstairs, and placed her gently on the bed. Did she go fighting? Mag looked at Irina, who was still unconscious, and asked inwardly, System, help me give her a checkup. Is she injured? Is her life in danger? Irina, female, 30 years old, elf. Physical conditions, serious exhaustion of magical power. Multiple soft tissue injuries have been repaired. The body has entered into a protective sleep state. Nothing serious. The system's checkup report quickly appeared in Mag's mind. Then she should be fine after a sleep. Mag nodded and covered her with a blanket. The wind forest was Helena's territory, but it was also the territory of Irina, who had the enhancement of the Tree of Life. As for the result of this battle, he had to wait till tomorrow morning to ask Irina after she woke up. Rodu. The Holy See's Great Hall. The Archbishop asked the Pope, Your Holiness, we don't know where the Holy Maiden is, so what do we do now? The Pope smilingly said, We don't have to worry about this matter. The Holy Spirit has its own plans. She didn't come, because it isn't the time yet. But the devil has reappeared now. It's bewitching people. Even the second prince was bewitched and controlled by it. The Holy Spirit hasn't given any instructions about this matter yet. The Holy See has already given the instruction. The Holy Maiden is the most important existence to resolve this catastrophe. The Pope shook his head slightly instead. Find her. Convince her. Let her lead the Holy See through this catastrophe. Protecting this world is our most important concern now. However, she's half-elf, after all. I'm afraid His Majesty will. The Pope looked at him meaningfully, and said, You must remember this. The Holy See has never existed for imperial power. We set up imperial power back then to better protect the human race. In the Og tribe. Chief, the Orc tribes that used to align with us have mostly joined the Fok tribe now. If we don't do anything now, the Orc race will be dominated by the Folk tribe in the future, an Orc said to Oster in a fluster. Oster, who had lost an arm, furrowed his brows deeply. What can we do? That Orc was at a loss for words. The Folk tribe received many tribes' goodwill and friendship after rendering assistance to all the various tribes. The Og tribe had missed the opportunity at the start. They could only watch all these tribes lean towards the Folk tribe now. They indeed couldn't do much now. Unless we kill Connie and make the Folk tribe descend into chaos again. Perhaps they will lean towards our Og tribe again. A cruel smile appeared on Oster's face. But, Chief, that Orc tried to reason with Oster, only to be abruptly cut off as Oster waved his hand, and said, I have already made up my mind. The Og tribe will never rise up again if we don't get rid of Connie. In the north, in the snow plains. A frost dragon slowly glided over the sky above the snow plains, scanning the ground with its gaze. Father, where are you? A heartbreaking murmur reverberated at a low altitude, but no answer ever came. Mag made a big pot of nourishing Buddha jumps over the wall for Irina overnight. She could have a bowl of freshly made Buddha jumps over the wall after she woke up tomorrow and had a bowl of porridge first. Surprised, Irina nibbled on an abalone as she asked Mag, are we being so extravagant? Mag shrugged his shoulders, and helplessly said, you don't want me to go fighting with you, so I can only make up with the logistics. Irina curled up her lips, and said, it's not that I can't defeat her. I don't need to bring an assistant with me. Anyway, you've got to bring me along when you go for a fight in the future. Even if I don't fight along with you, I can still watch you by the side, Mag said seriously. All right, Irina answered casually. Amy looked up from her bowl, and seriously said as well, you've got to bring me along too. I'm a good fighter. Irina tilted her head, and smilingly asked, how many opponents does little Amy want to fight? Are 10 too few? Amy asked. Usually speaking, you still need to fight a few dozen in the least. Mag listened to their conversation as he ate the porridge quietly. They didn't give any chance to men. Irina didn't say much about the situation last night. She only said that Helena's injuries were as bad as hers. The other party shouldn't be making trouble for the time being. However, the Wind Forest's revolution and uprising had already reached a critical point. Helena wanted to select and create a new ruling in the midst of the chaos, and continue to rule Wind Forest in a different skin. Irina would never allow that to happen. Mag was a complete noob in this area, so he didn't try to give any advice. Soon after, Noah and Morant came. After breakfast, Mag and Morant decided on the next search direction. Their primary goal was to find Josh first, and then destroy the devil that had escaped from the seal through him. In comparison, the rest was nothing but small matters. Once those sealed devils were released, the day of apocalypse would arrive on the Norland continent. Amy passed her bowl to Noah, patted his shoulder, and said, follow my lead, and you will never starve. You will never be mistreated. Noah. Morant, who had fully recovered, began to search for the evil aura with Rodu as center. After experiencing this incident, Mag also wasn't sure if Josh was still in Rodu. Besides, other than finding Josh, how to topple the Edward family's rule in the Roth Empire was also a problem that Mag had been thinking about recently. If they wanted to promote the Chaos Cities system throughout the Norland continent, and completely resolve the problem of racial war, they would have to change and revolutionize the races that were stuck in their old ways. Given Andre's current model of centralized power and Sean, who was going to take over the throne, it was obvious that they weren't going to do that. What they wanted was to sweep across the whole world, and then become the king of the Norland continent, making all the races bow to them. In comparison, letting Vanessa be the queen as the transition is a good choice too. Mag was thoughtful. Of course, it wasn't a small affair to topple an empire. It was much more difficult than killing Josh. However, there was some good news today. Mag's faith value had finally reached 100,000 3 days after the Perfect Food magazine was released. Mag's path to become the god of cookery had also risen by 2 levels. Congratulations on receiving the reward, Cooked Wheaten Foods Experience Bag. Congratulations on receiving the power, Mind Control. Congratulations on receiving an item, 1 mysterious rolling pin. Mag clicked open the Cooked Wheaten Food gift package, which contained soup dumplings, shaved noodles, hot noodles with sesame paste, and Sichuan spicy wonton in red oil. 4 cooked wheaten dishes that covered almost every genre. Sichuan spicy wonton in red oil was even Mag's favorite. These 4 dishes could create more variety for their breakfast, and provide more selection for the customers. For example, they could have a bowl of hot noodles with sesame paste or 2 piping hot soup dumplings if they didn't want to eat rice. The system was surprisingly generous. Then, Mag checked out that so-called mind control ability. It sounded just like a shameful ability that could rival with the time-stopping ability. Fortunately, it landed in the hands of a righteous person like Mag. However, after finding out more about it, instead of calling it mind control, it was an ability that could cause a brief spell of dizziness, and granted an immunity to powerful spiritual skills. That was all? That was all the mind control ability could do? Wasn't it too inferior to time stopping? Mag was slightly disappointed. However, this was an upgradable skill. As long as the host's spiritual power was strong enough, the ability could become more powerful. Of course, what Mag cared about was the immunity effect against spiritual skills. When he could already take down the whole world with a chef's knife, only the great old ones could threaten him. Additionally, mind control was what the great old ones were best at. It was also the ability that gave him the most trouble. Even the current Mag was afraid he could suffer at their hands if he wasn't careful. Tentacle monster and mind control. See, such a natural pervert was just that invincible. As for that mysterious roller pin, it was actually just a waterproof rod that could expand and shrink according to the occasion. Of course, Mag had no idea why the system specially labeled its waterproofness. However, since he had so many cooked wheaten food items to make, a roller pin was an essential tool. Father, Mother, Big Sister Annie drew a picture book yesterday. I'll bring it over to show you guys, Amy suddenly said after breakfast. Oh? Really? Mag was a little surprised. Annie revealed a shy smile, and nodded slightly. Irina looked at Annie expectantly. Has Annie already learned how to draw? I would like to see it. I'll go take it. Amy ran upstairs, and came down with a picture book in a short while. On the cover of the picture book was a beautiful mermaid with a giant blue colorful fish tail, red curly hair, and a beautiful face. She looked a little like Gina. The mermaid was leaning against a rock with the vast blue ocean behind her. The Little Mermaid. It was Annie's favorite children's story. Wow! Mags lit up. This mermaid was so nicely drawn. Unfortunately, he wasn't cultured. He only knew how to use the description beautiful. It's much better than most of the picture books covers that we have seen that day. It's very well drawn. Irina praised her too. Mag took the picture book, and flipped it open. It was indeed the story of the Little Mermaid. The blue rippling sea, the splendid ship sailing on the sea, the flying seagulls, and the dolphins that leaped out of the sea. Be it the backdrop or the characters, they were all drawn excellently. If he had to pick a flaw, then the storyboard was a little weak, making the story's flow seem less smooth. However, it was already very good for a first-timer. The level of completion was already amazing. Yes. Annie completed the entire The Little Mermaid by herself on the second day she learned how to draw. What was this? This was talent. Her amazing drawing talent and the tentacle monster's speed that every comic artist envied. With the enhancement of such talent, she was destined to become an excellent comic artist. It's very nicely drawn. It's beautiful and interesting, and it tells the story perfectly. Mag looked at Annie with gratification, as if he had just found an excellent child laborer. The smile on Annie's face got even brighter, as if she had never been so happy before. Mag put down the picture book, and lamented to Annie, however, if only we could add a scene whereby the prince cooks for the little mermaid, it would then explain why the little mermaid fell in love with the prince and why she loves him so much. Annie tilted her head and pondered. Her eyes slowly brightened. She smilingly nodded and accepted Mag's suggestion. However, Annie quickly asked Mag with sign language a question. What dish is the little prince going to cook for her? Spicy grilled fish. Mag replied without any hesitation. What? The three of them stared at Mag. It's not really suitable, right? Mag murmured. After thinking for some time, he said, the red braised pork, then. Why is it red braised pork? Amy asked. Mag smilingly answered, because the mermaid has never eaten pork, nor seen a pig run before, so she was amazed when she ate the red braised pork, and fell in love with the little prince. But Gina's favorite food is the beggar's chicken. Irina raised her doubt. Annie and Amy nodded in agreement. Big sister Gina's favorite was the beggar's chicken. She even ate the mud casing. This is an artistic work. Making the beautiful mermaid munch on mud casing doesn't seem too elegant. Mag shook his head. Of course, his main concern was that those people could never master a high-end dish like the beggar's chicken. Just to apply the mud casing on the chicken would cause many of them to flop. As for the red braised pork, this was indeed a nice dish that was quick and easy to cook. Yes, after seeing Annie's drawing, he had already decided to add an in the middle of this version of The Little Mermaid. An issue of the perfect food had already let him jump 2 levels up and receive many awards. He came to know the benefits of it. Therefore, he became much more attentive to the matter of increasing his faith value. This was a solid passive income which had an astonishing input-output ratio. Mag's seemingly reasonable explanation convinced 3 of them successfully. Annie decided to add the scene of the little prince cooking red braised pork in the comic. Mag was very attentive to it. He specially demonstrated to Annie on the spot a simplified but detailed version of red braised pork. At the same time, he crazily hinted to Annie that this was the most important part of the entire comic, and she had to draw it as realistic and detailed as possible. The best was to let the readers replicate the process from the comic. At the same time, he tactfully pointed out the problems of the storyboard to Annie. Mag wasn't a comic artist, but he had grown up reading all kinds of comics. He still knew how to appreciate one. Annie went upstairs, and continued her creation. She was indeed a hard-working little comic artist. Is this one of your plans to expand your influence? Irina looked at Mag with a faint smile. Mag nodded with a smile. I just want to give my child's comic some core competitiveness. One that no one can ever imitate. Yes. A priceless red braised pork's recipe. While Mag was trying to expand his influence with Annie's help, at the same time, he had also given a powerful core to Annie's comic. Chapter 2039 It was so hard to be a woman. Whoa! This Nezha looked like me. I have wind fire wheels too. However, her master is so fat, just like that pig. Is that long white thing a snake? That's a dragon. Is Nezha a girl? He's a boy. Did he come out from an egg? Can ugly duckling turn into something like her? It most likely won't. Ha ha ha, after watching 3 movies in the morning, Mag kept the giant screen to let the little one rest her eyes while he went into the kitchen to cook lunch for them. Mag saw that extendable and water-resistant roller pin on the shelf. It was golden, but there weren't any engravings on it, so it was a slight pity. Mag grabbed that roller pin, and chanted softly, small, small, small. The 30 cm long roller pin indeed swiftly became small, and was finally as small as a sewing needle. The Monkey King one did not lie to me indeed. Mag looked at the tiny golden bludgeon in his palm, and resisted the urge to put it in his ear. It was one thing whether it would stay in place, but it would definitely pierce through his eardrum. Big, 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 Mag continued to chant. The needle-sized roller pin slowly expanded, and quickly became 3 meters tall, touching the ceiling and reaching the floor. This is interesting. I can use it as a crushing weight if needed. Mag nodded. He turned it back to a normal roller pin, and placed it back on the shelf. Up till now, he still hadn't discovered the secret of this roller pin. That mysterious name was perhaps the most mysterious aspect of it. That liquor last night. Abraham sat on his bed to let his beautiful handmaidens wash up and dress him. He was still reminiscing about the liquor that he drank last night. He was carried back home last night. He had passed out from drinking. According to his past experience, he should be feeling very miserable in the morning. However, surprisingly, he slept all the way till noon, and felt extremely refreshed after waking up. He had a rare good night's sleep. What's the name of that tavern that I went to last night? Abraham asked the butler, who was waiting at the side. My lord, that tavern is called Saipan Tavern. It's on Romo Street, the butler answered softly. Saipan Tavern. Abraham was thoughtful. The butler continued, My lord, I have prepared some porridge for you. Would you like to have it now? Abraham got up, and said to the butler, Their side dishes should go well with the porridge too. Send someone to buy and bring some side dishes for me. Yes, the butler replied, and then turned to leave. Abraham suddenly stopped him. Oh yes, forget it if they are not open yet. We have to be civilized. Yes, the butler smilingly replied. I'll go personally. Mag just happened to finish cooking when he heard the sound of knocking on the door. Mag wore his mask, and walked to the door. He looked out of the peephole, and saw an old man standing outside. This old man looked very familiar. He was that old butler that usually followed Abraham around. Hello, can I help you? Mag opened the door. I'm sorry to bother you, boss. My master loves your side dishes, and sent me to buy some from you. I wonder if it's convenient, the old butler asked smilingly. This chowhound really knows how to enjoy his food. Normal people can't really execute the move of buying side dishes at a tavern. Mag raised his eyebrows slightly. However, based on the fact that Abraham had stood up for Amy last night, Mag said, the tavern only operates at night. We haven't started to make the salad side dishes yet, but we still have some drunkard peanuts left. Please give me a minute, and I'll go get them for you. All right, thank you very much then, the butler quickly replied. Shortly after, Mag packed one helping of drunkard peanuts in a wooden box, and gave it to the butler. May I ask how much it is, boss? The butler took out his money bag. Your master helped the tavern last night. These peanuts are the token of my appreciation. Mag shook his head with a smile. There's no need for that. Master has already scolded me for not paying you last night. If he knew that I was taking things for free out here, he would chase me out when I returned. The old butler gave 1 silver coin to Mag. Please keep this. Master loves your dishes. He will definitely return again. Mag tossed the silver coin into the air as he watched the butler leave in a horse-drawn carriage before going back into the tavern. On the second floor of Titan Tavern across the street, Eofi peeped at Mag through a half-opened window. This man is really unfathomable. He can actually get to know Duke Abraham. What's his identity? Miss, what are you looking at? A maid spoke up behind her. Eofi got a shock, and quickly shut the window. A blush appeared on her pretty face. She coughed dryly to alleviate her embarrassment, and said, the window was opened slightly. I closed it because I felt a little cold. Oh. The maid didn't suspect anything. She put down a takeaway box in her hands, and took out the hot food within while saying, Miss, I heard that the tavern opposite us had a roaring business last night. Moreover, the liquor that they sell is extremely expensive. A customer's minimum spending is at least 1,000 copper coins. Eofi answered distractedly. Miss, why don't we increase our liquor's prices too? Our customers' minimum spending is not even 100 copper coins, the maid asked perplexedly. Eofi flicked a finger at the maid's forehead with exasperation. Silly girl! Our customers are not rich. They even thought that 10 copper coins for a glass of liquor was expensive. Increase the price? We're going to lose this group of customers too if we do so. The maid felt pain. While covering her forehead with her hand, she aggrievedly said, I was just saying. Eofi rolled her eyes, and said, he dares to take 2,000 copper coins for a bottle of liquor because his liquor is indeed good. How are we going to follow suit? Then, we can sell his liquor too. The little maid pursed her lips. So, should I exchange you for the liquor with the boss of that tavern opposite? Eofi replied with an exasperated smile. Aye, the little maid thought seriously for a moment. If that boss wants me, I'm willing to sacrifice myself. Eofi. I'm saying, he definitely won't accept me. The little maid quickly shook her head, and then looked at Eofi. However, if it was Miss, I don't think he could ever reject you. No one could reject Miss in this world. I'm sorry. There's one right opposite. Eofi sighed inwardly. Hadn't she been rejected more than once? There was only one reason. He had a more beautiful one at home. It was so hard to be a woman. One seems like a Sun Wukong reference. He had a famous staff that could change its length at command. By the way, Prince Neza mentioned before is a character from the same story, though he is also an actual deity. On top of that, the name of this little tavern that was spreading around also became a new spot for many officials to go for a drink at night. Romo Street had declined for many years, but it was still a part of their youth. The beautiful ladies who used to stand by Romo Street in front of little houses under bright red lights, showing off their beauty to passing customers, how were they? Peanut with porridge. Abraham looked at the wooden box filled with drunkard peanuts. He chuckled and threw a peanut into his mouth. The thrill of the spiciness woke his taste buds up immediately. He took a sip of warm seafood porridge. Perfect. A peanut and a sip of porridge, and just like that, Abraham finished 3 bowls of porridge before he ended his brunch, wanting more. Master, now there are rumors outside that you invested in and opened that tavern, the butler said as he passed Abraham a silk handkerchief. Abraham wiped his hand with a smile, and said, the owner of this tavern is rather interesting. Let them spread the rumors so that he will have less trouble going for him. All right. The butler nodded. Prepare the horse-drawn carriage. I'm going to the palace. To see His Majesty. No, to pick Vanessa up. You don't have to prepare the formal dress. Abraham walked out. She will definitely like the side dishes from this tavern. Master, isn't it a little inappropriate to bring the princess to a tavern? The butler voiced his worries. What's inappropriate? We're there for the food, Abraham said with a smile. Before even opening, there were already more than 10 customers waiting outside Saipan. Most of them were wearing courtier uniforms. Of course, they did not arrive earlier to book a spot. Most of them did not know when the tavern opened, so they came early. Whoa, look at their tavern. There are already so many people waiting before it even opened. Yet. How envious. It has been years since we saw such a sight at Romo Street. I heard that this tavern might have been opened by Duke Abraham. These courtiers aren't here for the wine. No matter who opened this tavern, it is a good thing for Romo Street. There is finally some life here. The business operators along Romo Street gathered together as they chatted softly and looked at Saipan Tavern enviously. No one would have expected that this tavern would be able to win over so many customers within a short span of a few days. Mag did not expect the popularity of the tavern to increase so quickly. After dinner, he rested for a while, and when he opened the door, he almost got a shock from the customers outside. Please, come in. Mag opened the door, and welcomed the rather displeased lords. If this tavern hadn't been related to Duke Abraham, I would have taught this owner a lesson. How could it let an old man like me stand outside for so long? An old courtier grumbled as he pounded his legs. Calm down. What happened to Alden yesterday is a warning. The owner here isn't to be trifled with, an official who came over with him said with a smile. Not to be trifled with. We're just here for the drinks. I heard that the wine here is really good, the old courtier said with a smile. Everyone took their seats, and ordered their wines and dishes. Romo Street was not far from the various ministries, so it had its glory days. Everyone chatted and reminisced about the old days. Time passed by in a flash, and everything on Romo Street had changed. The wine was good, and it was worth its price of 2,000 copper coins. The side dishes were even more of a surprise. They would never find an even better side dish to go with drinks in any tavern around Rodu. They would not be able to find anything like that even in a restaurant. This is a tavern with a good chef and good brewer. That old courtier took a sip of the fine wine, and smacked his lips in satisfaction. His displeasure had completely disappeared, just like the wine that went down his throat. The only regret he had was not discovering this tavern earlier. Yo, why are there so many people here today? Abraham brought Vanessa into the tavern, and was shocked to see that more than half of the place was filled with seated customers. What a strong smell of alcohol! Vanessa covered her nose, and took half a step back. Come on in. When did I ever lie to you? There really is good food, Abraham said with a smile. Vanessa glanced around, and saw the side dishes ordered by one of the customers. The bright red salad resembled the husband and wife lung slice. When she saw the customer pick up the glistening pig's ear covered with a layer of red oil and put it in his mouth, heard that clear crunchy sound of the cartilage, and took in that expression of enjoyment. Gulp! Vanessa swallowed her saliva. Ever since she had come back to Rodu, she had not seen such beautiful red oil. Therefore, she took a step forward again. When Abraham and Vanessa stepped inside, the noisy tavern turned quiet immediately. Princess Vanessa had attended a few royal events, so the courtiers were all rather familiar with her. As for Abraham, there was no need to speak further. Most of them were here because Abraham beat Alden up here. Most of the courtiers stood up immediately to greet Abraham and Vanessa. All right, just take it as you don't know us. Don't affect their business. Abraham raised his hand to stop the bootlickers who wanted to come over. Upon hearing that, everyone stopped in their tracks, and did not dare to speak further. Big sister Vanessa. Amy, who was sitting behind the counter, saw Vanessa, and her eyes lit up. However, when she recalled her father's words, she resisted the urge to greet her. What a cute little girl! Vanessa also noticed the small Amy behind the counter. It was a little girl in a cotton dress. Her two short legs dangled over the chair, swaying gently, and making her look very cute. There was a round black and white pet beside her. It was lying on its back, sleeping soundly. It had a round face and large round eyes, making it look very cute. Hello, pretty big sister, Amy said to Vanessa. Hello, you're so obedient. Vanessa smiled. She reached over and stroked the belly of the pet, and said, he's cute too. Ugly Duckling opened its eyes and glanced at Vanessa. After that, it continued to sleep. It's just a little stupid, but everything else is fine, Amy said with a nod. What pet is this? Is it a magic beast? Vanessa asked curiously. It was too cute, and was just like the kitty that the little boss had called Ugly Duckling. If only she could have one as a pet. It is not a magic beast. It is an animal that sustains a living through acting cute. Amy shook her head. Can acting cute sustain a living? Abraham asked with a smile. Amy propped her chin upon her hands, tilted her head, and said, Fat Grandpa, I hasn't eaten for 3 days, can you give me some monies to buy some bread? How much do you need? I'll give you all I have. Look, acting cute can also sustain a living, Amy said with a smile as she shook the money pouch in her hand. However, this uncle and niece duo appeared to be here to eat. The atmosphere in the palace had been rather suppressive recently, and Vanessa was very smart. Therefore, what happened to Josh could not be kept from her. Abraham heard that Vanessa could not eat, so the moment he tried the side dishes, he brought her out of the palace to try the side dishes from this tavern. This pig ears salad and pig tongue salad looks like the husband and wife lung slice made by Boss Mag, Vanessa exclaimed when she saw the side dishes. Try it, it tastes rather similar, Abraham said with a smile. Really? Vanessa was in disbelief. Boss Mag was the best chef she had ever seen. She did not think that the owner of a small tavern could make food comparable to Boss Mag's. Vanessa picked up a piece of pig's ear. After the training from Mamie restaurant, she had already thrown away all prejudices she had for any ingredients. She would not look down on the food because of a piece of pig's ear. Instead, she was looking forward to it as she had not tried a pig's ear. She was looking forward to the surprise that it would bring her. The pig's ear was covered with a layer of bright red oil, and the fragrance with a hint of spiciness was already wafting over. The moment it entered her mouth, the numbing spiciness exploded suddenly. Vanessa felt her head buzz. It was a familiar feeling. Vanessa chewed into the pig's ear. Amidst the soft tenderness, there was a crunchy cartilage. When she bit into it, there was a soft crunch. It was springy, and gave her an interesting chewing experience. The freshness and numbing spiciness were all encapsulated in this mouthful. Vanessa closed her eyes slightly, and felt as though she was back in Chaos City, sitting in Mamie restaurant and trying Boss Mag's new launch. Whew, it's spicy. Vanessa ate a mouthful of rice. There were already beads of perspiration forming on her forehead. It was this feeling of exhilaration. The spiciness came swiftly, and did not stick around for long. The fragrance was even better, making one feel like eating more. How was it? Abraham asked with a smile. Vanessa swallowed the rice, and smilingly said, I want to go over to the kitchen to see if Boss Mag is imprisoned there to cook. I took a look yesterday. He's not, Abraham said with a smile. I didn't expect Rodu to have such a good chef. Even though there are only 3 dishes, this pig ears salad is as good as the husband and wife lung slice. Vanessa took a slice of pig tongue, and put it into her mouth. She fell right into it. Mag did not mind others bringing their own rice over. After all, Vanessa had not reached the legal age to drink, and such strong alcohol was not suitable for her, either. He observed them carefully, worried that they would guess his identity through the dishes. However, according to his observation, the two seemed obviously more interested in the food. After filling her stomach, Vanessa seemed to be in a better mood. Is this a little inappropriate? Vanessa asked as she pointed to the rice bowl in front of her. Abraham shook his head with a smile, and said, It's all right. I've already told the owner. We'll just bring the bowl back with us later. Hee, Uncle Abraham, you're the best. You would always think of me the moment you found something delicious. Vanessa looked at Abraham gratefully. But of course. Abraham patted his chest, and said, As long as I have something good to eat, I definitely will not forget you. Vanessa looked around, and inched closer to Abraham as she whispered, In that case, can I take away some too? You're not full. No, Royal Mother has not been able to eat anything recently, either. I want to bring some back for her as appetizers. Vanessa shook her head. All right. I'll take away a set for you. Abraham stood up and went to the counter. It's a total of 264 copper coins, Amy was already done with the calculations. I also want to take away a bottle of Mao Tai and one each of the 3 side dishes, Abraham said. All right. Please hold on for a while, Mag responded from the kitchen. In no time at all, the 3 side dishes were ready to be taken away. Mag took a bottle of Mao Tai from the wine cabinet, and passed it to Abraham. "Thanks, boss. Buy some sweets for the child with the change." Abraham passed 3 dragon coins to Amy. "Thank you, fat grandpa." Amy kept the dragon coins happily. This was super valuable money. "Goodbye, little kid." Vanessa smiled and bade Amy farewell while she gave Ugly Duckling a little caress. Duke Abraham and the owner of this tavern have some special relationship. Yet, even Princess Vanessa and the little boss seemed quite close. This little girl can't be trifled with. Don't mention the little girl. Even that round thing isn't to be trifled with. Abraham and Vanessa's actions were seen as evidence by the customers there that they had a good relationship with the people from the tavern. Mag was rather happy about this misjudgment. It was better to have less trouble, and it felt great to have someone powerful backing you up. Vanessa was powerful enough to be able to protect them completely. Oh, it was her status that was high enough. There were 3 princes in the Roth Empire, but only 1 princess. Everyone knew that His Majesty doted a lot on this princess. No matter whom you offended, you should never offend this princess. "Goodbye, I will not see you off." Mag helped the last drunk customer out of the tavern, handed him over to his coachman, and closed the door of the tavern behind him. Phew, Mag let out a long sigh. He actually felt as though he had just ended a busy day at Mamie restaurant. "Are you thinking of recruiting a server?" Irina asked with a smile as she walked down the stairs. "I really am thinking of it." Mag nodded honestly. He had to manage the operations, take orders, serve the food, and even get busy in the kitchen with the salads, plating, and handling the occasional strange requests from the customers. He was really rather tired. "Then do you think I will make the cut?" Irina asked as she pointed to herself. "You can't," Mag said as he shook his head. "Hey! You have the life of a lady boss. Making you run around in the tavern is a waste of talent," Mag said seriously. Collecting money suits me rather well." Irina sat behind the counter, and started counting the day's revenue. Mag secretly heaved a sigh of relief for the customers. He was mainly afraid that Irina would throw the cold foldable chair at the customers for no rhyme or reason. It might even cost a life. Amy suddenly ran downstairs, and poked her head out from the staircase as she exclaimed, "Father, it's raining stars. If there's a meteor shower, make a wish and it will come true," Mag said with a smile. "Really?" Amy's eyes lit up. Of course. Amy, you can make a wish before the meteor shower disappears." Mag nodded with a smile. "I'll go then." Amy quickly turned and ran up the stairs. "Meteor shower, please bless me with a delicacy that could never be finished and I would never be sick of." The falling meteor shower shook a little, with traces of flying backward, host confirmed. Adding life experience system. Chapter 2042 Amy's life experience system. What's that? Can it be eaten? Also, where are you? Why can't I see you? Amy crawled up from her bed. She searched the room inside out, and pouted angrily as she said, "If you're not coming out, I'll tell Father to catch you." Life experience system. "I'll count to 3. Amy put her hands on her hips. 3. "Wait, you can't do this. I just like to count from 3. "None of your business." Amy snorted. "System. Are you in my head?" Amy hit and then shook her head. "Calm down, little mistress. Didn't you make a wish last night? I am here to fulfill that wish." The system's voice rang. It could only change his attitude when facing this host who was rather unstable, with her morals not completely sculpted. She could not be communicated with normally. "So are you here to give me food?" Amy's eyes lit up. With utmost anticipation, she said, "A delicacy that could never be finished and I would never be sick of." "No, I am here to help you, little mistress," fulfill your wish. Of course, I will also be providing support to help your life become even better, the system answered. So, you have no food, and you can't cook too. Amy tilted her head. I am a life experience system. My aim is to help you upgrade your life experience. Making food is out of my job scope, the system said seriously. Then what do I want you for? You're worse than Ugly Duckling. At least Ugly Duckling can be eaten, Amy said in disdain. Life experience system. As a system, it did not expect to be despised by its owner the moment it appeared. According to the system's manual, a system was a supernatural being to the host, and would usually be treated with respect and admiration. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website mythanks. Why did its owner despise it, and even compare it to lowly beasts? Furthermore, why was its random picked host a mere 4-year-old girl? For a system, this was simply a hell of a beginning. Although, it was an emotionless system. However, it could feel that evilness in this world at this moment. How could a system start raising a kid the moment it debuted? Novice mission, please gain 10 life experience points. Upon completion of the mission, you will receive a novice hamper. The system tried releasing its first ever mission. What are life experience points? Amy was attracted to the game-like setting. She would occasionally play some games with her father. Life is a learning journey. We would have joy, anger, worry, longing, sadness, fear, shock, and other negative and positive emotions. Emotions are a very important measurement to life experiences. The system will digitalize the emotional wavelengths, and that will be the life experience points. All emotions induced by you, little mistress, will be transformed into life experience points that will be accumulated in you, the system quickly explained. Amy listened very seriously. After a while, she said, So? What do I have to do? System, I've said so much. Have you not heard a thing? Therefore, in order to complete the novice mission and officially journey onto the main mission stage, please participate actively in life to gain more life experience points, the system said as gently as it could. Is the novice hamper a giant snack hamper? What's in there? Amy asked again. To maintain the mysteriousness and your proactiveness, us, as systems, would not usually reveal the award. Sometimes, the reward might even be decided by a roulette, the system explained. If it's not something yummy, I'm going to ignore you from now. Amy snorted. The system. In the vocabulary of human words, there was a phrase called going crazy, which was an apt description of its current feelings. It was a system. It existed as assistance that only a transmigrant chosen by the heavens could have the chance to own. But in her eyes, it was just a storeroom for snacks. Amy lay back on her bed. She looked around, and after making sure there was no one, she thought to herself, how do you talk in my head? Why is there no sound when I'm talking to you? I am lodging in your mind. Our interaction uses brainwaves, so there will be no sound, and no one will realize. Then if I die, will you be dead too? Theoretically, you can say so. Then you must be careful, your little life is in my hands, Amy said with a smile. Negative emotions from the life experience system +1. Look, that number jumped. Do I have experience points now? Amy exclaimed with her eyes widened. System. As a system, being threatened by its host was an embarrassment to all systems. But how infuriating! Little mistress, according to the rules binding us, you have to keep my existence a secret, which means you are not allowed to tell anyone about my existence. Otherwise, you will be punished. Father said that other than life and death, everything else is nothing. If you kill me, you're committing suicide. So what are you going to punish me with? Amy asked with a smile and a tilt of her head. System responded, F***ck. Negative emotions from the life experience system +1+1, if it wasn't because it did not have sufficient power, the system would not mind releasing a mission on murdering one's father. Therefore, before she got up from bed, Amy had already successfully gotten 5 life experience points from the system. Just that? It's too simple. Amy looked at the 5 experience points, and continued to study this so-called system. An interface appeared in her mind. It looked rather similar to the gaming interface she played with her father. The main page showed the following. Host, Amy level, 0, 0/100, life experience points, 5 skills, nil mission, novice mission gain 10 life experience points. Ongoing, mission reward, novice hamper lucky draw system, currently unavailable, please explore for more functions. An ordinary 4-year-old would probably find it difficult to understand this interface. However, it was something easy to understand for Amy. It was just like defeating monsters to gain life experience points and upgrading. Amy closed the interface, and asked smilingly, "System, are you there?" Novice instructions begin. Side quest, make a sumptuous breakfast for your family. Interacting with your family is a fast way to gain life experience points and deepen your relationship. An additional reward will be given out upon successful completion. The system quickly released a side quest. As a system, it would be an utter disgrace if other systems were to find out that its host gained experience points from it. It was the kind that would make it get kicked out of the group chat. Just like a certain cuisine system senior. Amy sat up and thought seriously for a while. After that, frustrated, she said, "But I don't know how to cook." "Little mistress, do not worry, as a life experience system, I will provide you with all-rounded assistance and guidance to ensure that you can prepare a delicious set of breakfast," the system said confidently. "All right. I will get up first." Amy climbed up softly so that she would not startle Annie, who was sleeping beside her. She dug out a little apron from her wardrobe, and tiptoed out of the room. Amy appeared in the kitchen with her little apron. She looked at the pots and pans on the stove and the other knives and kitchenware hanging on the wall, and was a little stunned. The system was a little stunned as well. Is this really a fantasy world? Why is there kitchenware from so many technological worlds? And electricity? This makes no sense. The system flipped its system manual for verification. This was indeed a fantasy world. It was a fantasy world with giant dragons flying in the sky, trolls pounding on the ground, and succubi showing their charms. However, what was a rice cooker? Could it be some demon or beast that had transformed into one? The system felt that its fragile worldview had met with a huge impact. Maybe there was a mistake during the time of my descent, and technology had been developed in this world, the system tried to convince itself. "Breakfast, what should I make?" Amy asked. A 4-year-old child would need patient guidance. The system tried to speak as amiably as it could. "Little mistress, what would you normally have for breakfast?" "Yoshao with soybean milk, or a helping of Yangzhou fried rice. The congee with pork and century egg is pretty good too. The tofu pudding is a little too troublesome, but the stir-fried chicken is good, and sometimes we would add a salted egg yolk pastry." Hold on this food, what are they doing in this world? The system's worldview collapsed once again. It was even a little confused. From what it found from its database, this food should be from a lowly star called Earth, which was where the place named Yangzhou was. So, what should we make? Amy pointed her 2 index fingers together gently as she fell into a dilemma. It's too dangerous to make the yoshao, and the procedures for the salted egg yolk pastry and tofu pudding are too complicated. They are not what you could master easily. Therefore, the only choice right now is the Yangzhou fried rice or the congee with pork and century egg. I suggest that you make the congee with pork and century egg. It's simpler, the system suggested. Amy shook her head, and said, "No, Father said that we should always take on challenges. I choose to make the rainbow fried rice system. Right now, it wanted to drag that legendary father out 100 times. Alright. The ingredients you need right now are prawns, eggs, ham, shiitake mushroom. No, it's these. Amy opened the refrigerator, and shifted a little stool over to step on it. She pulled out the different ingredients needed for the Yangzhou fried rice from the freezer compartment. There were prawns the size of Amy's arms, top-grade egg, top-grade ham that had been marinated for years, fresh and rare tree mushroom. Why are there so many rare ingredients? The system was stunned. According to the life experience system's ideology of taking things one step at a time, the first step to making a delicacy should start with planting and harvesting ingredients. For example, rearing a piglet in preparation for the marinated ham, hatching an egg from a chicken, going to the mountains to pluck fresh tree mushrooms, and going down to the sea to catch fresh prawns. In the end, everything was there in the refrigerator. On top of that, they were all good quality ingredients. Amy placed everything on the kitchen counter, and asked expectantly, "So, what do I do next? What should I do?" Although her father did teach her cooking before, she really could not master. However, making breakfast for her parents was rather interesting. Choose a cleaver that feels good to hold and chop all the ingredients into cube size. The system started its tutorial. Amy took the cleaver her father used often from the knife rack. She climbed onto her small stool, grabbed a piece of ham, and hacked it. Crunch! Boom! The steel kitchen counter was chopped into 2 pieces and fell apart. Amy opened her mouth slightly with the cleaver in her hand. System, 4+. This. What kind of monster is that? Chopping the vegetables became chopping the kitchen counter. This kitchen counter doesn't seem too sturdy. Amy said blankly. Can you blame it for not being sturdy? The kitchen counter would probably flip itself upon hearing that. You're the one who used too much force. In that case, what should I do now? I broke father's kitchen counter. If he eats it, he will be very angry. Amy said in a fluster after coming back to her senses. Don't worry, little mistress, it's just a kitchen counter. I believe your father would not blame you. After all, you're so cute. If father gets angry, does that mean I can also gain life experience points? What? The system was stunned. However, it still replied, theoretically speaking, it is true. No. I can't make father angry or upset. He's been working hard every day to support me and mother. Amy shook her head, and placed the cleaver aside. She picked up the ingredients that had fallen on the floor, and propped the chopped kitchen counter back up. It's already broken. You'll need a weaponsmith to forge it back together. This is obviously not what you can do, the system persuaded. Of course, propping a steel kitchen counter weighing hundreds of kilograms with her bare hands was not like what a 4-year-old little girl could do. In any case, from what it seemed, this host was not simple. However, it was just an ordinary life experience system. Fire can melt steel, and ice can solidify it again, Amy said as she looked at the broken kitchen counter. Theoretically, it is true. However, it would need a blacksmith to first melt the steel in his workshop, and then a flame appeared in Amy's palm, and it traveled along the crack. The 2 sides of the thick steel started to change in color and melt. After that, Amy reached her left hand out, and chilly air started expanding out. 2 thick layers of ice appeared on the top and bottom of the kitchen counter, trapping the melted steel between them. 3 minutes later, the ice fell off and disappeared. The kitchen counter had been joined back together. The surface was smooth, and other than a black line left behind, it was completely the same as it was before. The system. Although the extreme cold could break the internal structure of steel and cause the joint area to become brittle, this was already considered an extremely difficult thing for a 4-year-old to do. Exclamation from the life experience system +1. Anger points from the life experience system +1. Sadness points from the life experience system +1. Fear points from the life experience system +1. Ding dong! Congratulations on completing the novice assignment, little mistress. You have received one novice's gift package. Please accept your gifts. Amy finally received all the experience points needed for the novice assignment from the system after she completed that shockingly charred Yangzhou fried rice. Wow, this novice assignment is as easy as cooking this Yangzhou fried rice, Amy said happily. System. Am I right, system? Amy didn't forget to ask. Negative emotional points from the life experience system +10. There's no need to. You're being too nice. Amy waved her hands. What the heck is this thing? The system felt like crying. During the process of cooking the fried rice, it watched Amy reduce all the various precious ingredients to this wok of charcoal. She even almost blew up the kitchen a few times while cooking. The process was so thrilling, but the result was so unassuming. It felt as though it had been played. As a new system, it actually let its host complete the novice assignment on it. This was a scandal that could crucify it on the pillar of shame. Now, I want to check on my snacks gift package. Amy looked at that shiny gift package in her mind, and clicked it open expectantly. Congratulations on receiving a copy of The King of Jokes. You have received the ability of attribute identification. The system's notification sounded after the gift package was opened. Amy looked around her before asking, "Where's my snacks?" Let me solemnly explain. This is the novice gift package, not a snack gift package, the system emphasized. Amy pursed her lips, and aggrievedly said, "Liar. You said you were here to help me fulfill my wishes, but you only gave me a copy of The King of Jokes. I didn't even get a packet of egg biscuits. I'm not going to play with you anymore." The system was getting a headache. It didn't have the ability to pacify children in its setting. Perhaps God had never expected that it would end up with such a host too, right? Please don't cry. You can read The King of Jokes if you feel sad. Besides, the ability of attribute identification is really fun. The system tried its best to pacify her. Amy stopped feeling sad, and clicked open that ability of attribute identification. The learning process only took a minute. When she opened her eyes, and looked at that wok of fried rice in front of her, she saw a line of text, "A wok of exploded Yangzhou fried rice." System. They've exploded. What are you doing, little Amy? Mag suddenly appeared at the kitchen's entrance. He looked at the messy kitchen and Amy, who was still holding a spatula, with shock. I am making breakfast for you guys." Amy turned around to look at Mag. She had two black charcoal traces on her face as she revealed a pure smile with crescent eyes. She looked superbly adorable. "Are you making breakfast?" Mag stepped over a chef's knife that was stabbed into the floor at the entrance, and came to the stove that was covered with rice. The corners of his mouth twitched as he stared at that dark cuisine on the stove. Even with the insight of a professional chef, he couldn't see what the heck that black thing in the wok was. "Yes. This is the rainbow fried rice that I have made for you guys. You guys have worked very hard, so I wanted to make breakfast for all of you." Amy nodded. She flicked a glance at the fried rice in the wok, embarrassed, and said, "But, it seems to turn into black soil fried rice now." Mag looked at Amy, who seemed a little dejected, and felt a warm feeling in his heart. "No, it's pretty well done." Mag patted her head with a smile. Impressed points from Mag +1. Amy lit up her eyes. She was happy as long as her father was happy. Did the kitchen explode? Why is there a burnt smell? Irina walked to the kitchen's entrance with a frown. She was stunned for a moment when she saw the messy kitchen. Did it really explode? Mag turned around, and smilingly said, little Amy got up early to make us breakfast. It's normal to have some accident on her first attempt. Smiling, Irina replied, I see. Then, it's a little better than my first attempt at cooking. What nice food did you make? Irina walked into the kitchen. The corner of her mouth also twitched when she saw that blackened wok. Amy smilingly introduced, this is the rainbow fried rice, but there were too many dark clouds today, so it became black. And not bad. Irina nodded. Oh well, she was her daughter who had completely inherited her cooking talents. Amy was greatly encouraged. As she took the bowls out from the cabinet, she said, since father and mother like it, let me get you two some. Mag's and Irina's eyes widened at the same time. Are we really going to eat this early in the morning? Irina whispered at Mag's ear. It's hard to reject her. Mag sighed softly. Amy scooped up 4 bowls of black Yongzhou fried rice, and the family of 4 stared at one another at the table. The faint charred smell drifted from the bowl. The best ingredients still managed to give out a whiff of stubborn fragrance under such horrendous cooking circumstances. Let's eat. Don't be shy. There is more in the wok, Amy said to the 3 of them expectantly. Mag looked at the pure smile on Amy's face. Seeing the expectations in her eyes, he simply couldn't reject her. After a brief hesitation, he still picked up the spoon and fed himself a mouthful of that black fried rice. How should he describe this feeling? It was as though all the ingredients were rolled around in a salty alkali ground before they were tossed into the fire and stir-fried with plant ash. Then, everything was finally plated on a layer of soil. That such a taste could be created was beyond his imagination. One had to know that the best and most precious ingredients had been used. It wouldn't have tasted bad if she had just added water and boiled them. How is it? Is it tasty? Amy asked with a hopeful look on her face. Mag, who had already lost his desire to chew, continued chewing after he saw Amy's anticipated look. At the same time, he had to maintain the smile on his face. He then quickly picked up the glass of water next to him, took a big gulp, and swallowed all the food down. Negative emotions from Mag +1. Not bad, Mag nodded with a smile. What could he do? This was his child, so he had to bear it. Hee. A happy smile appeared on Amy's face, but she was a little puzzled inwardly. Why did her mind show negative emotions when her father clearly liked her fried rice? The system must be broken. This stupid system. What do you think, mother? Amy's gaze turned to Irina. Negative emotions from Irina +1. She hadn't eaten such horrible food for a long time. The last time perhaps it was when she had tasted her own cooking. It had been a bison as huge as a small mountain. It had been roasted into ashes eventually. The taste of it when eaten with rice, she still felt a discomfort in her tummy thinking of it right now. This soil-fried rice made by Amy indeed had the essence of her cooking. Annie heard their praises, and picked up the spoon expectantly to feed herself a spoonful of fried rice. Her eyes widened slowly as she stared at Mag and Irina with suspicion. She resembled a little fawn that was deceived with her bright eyes. However, she still swallowed that mouthful of rice eventually, and put down the spoon quietly. She drank a big glass of water and showed a forced smile. Negative emotions from Annie +1. Negative emotions from Annie +1. Negative emotions from Annie +1. Then I'll go clean up the kitchen, and make something else to eat. Mag picked up his bowl, and walked to the kitchen. Can help you clean up. Irina, who never did any work, got up and walked to the kitchen with her bowl. Annie also got up quietly, and went into the kitchen with her bowl. Seems like this fried rice isn't as bad as I thought. Everyone seems to like it. Amy picked up her spoon, and popped a spoonful of it into her mouth. Amy's expression froze instantly. Silence. EY. How can it taste so horrible? Amy had even shocked herself. Irina peeped at the entrance, and smilingly said, shouldn't have hurt her pride, right? I'll hope that the little one can have a clear understanding of her cooking talent now. Please don't get up to torture the kitchen and our stomachs every morning. Mag shrugged with a smile. He was still rather touched by the fact that Amy got up to cook for them. This little one already empathized with their hardship at such a young age. However, her cooking talent was the direct opposite of her magical talent. It was extremely bad. If it was Annie, she could most likely make a rather good Yangzhou fried rice. With Irina's help, the kitchen was soon returned to its original condition. Only after Mag took out all sorts of ingredients from the refrigerator did he see the slash on the cutting table. Irina flicked a glance, and calmly said, "She's not used to holding a chef's knife." "It's normal." Mag glanced at her. "Normal people wouldn't find it normal. Do you have any opinion?" Mag quickly shook his head. "No. It's pretty normal. I used to hack the cutting table when I was cutting up the ingredients. So, father, mother, and Annie even tolerated such a horrible taste just to take care of my feelings." Amy looked at the kitchen before she turned her gaze to Ugly Duckling, which was stretching out lazily on the counter. One excessively fat feline. This was the first time Ugly Duckling didn't come to the table during a meal. Ugly Duckling seemed to have sensed something bad. It turned around, and saw Amy holding a spoonful of dark cuisine and walking towards it. "Come, Ugly Duckling. Try the love breakfast that I have made for you. Don't you come over." Ugly Duckling's fur stood up on its ends immediately as it glared at Amy. Amy grabbed Ugly Duckling, which was about to retreat. She then pinched its round face, and threw a few grains of fried rice into its mouth. Ugly Duckling thrashed with its legs twice before turning its head to one side, and died on the spot. Negative emotions from Ugly Duckling +1. Negative emotions from Ugly Duckling +1. Negative emotions from Ugly Duckling +1. Wow! That works too! Amy's eyes lit up. She stared at Ugly Duckling as though she was looking at a treasure. Amy put down the spoon, pinched Ugly Duckling's face, and happily said, "Are you dead? What a pity. Seems like we can only have either Peking duck or roast goose for lunch today." Meow. Ugly Duckling, which tilted its head to one side and had its tongue lolling out, called out weakly. "This Ugly Duckling seems to have suffered a heat stroke. Why don't meow, meow, meow." Ugly Duckling shot up and rubbed its head against Amy's hand before jumping up and down the counter to prove that it was well. Negative emotions from Ugly Duckling +1. Negative emotions from Ugly Duckling +1. Negative emotions from Ugly Duckling +1. In the blink of an eye, Amy received 10 life experience points from Ugly Duckling. Mag came out with breakfast that he made again. It comprised the brightly colored Yangzhou fried rice, the classic pairing of soybean milk and yushao, a bowl of stomach-nourishing congee with pork and century egg, and a bowl of Sichuan spicy wontons in red oil. This is... Everyone's gaze was attracted by that red and glistening Sichuan spicy wontons in red oil. Mag's breakfast menu had never had such a strong-flavored breakfast before. Moreover, this was something they had never seen him make before. A bowl of exquisitely made Sichuan spicy wontons in red oil. The chef has astonishing culinary skills. A row of remarks popped up in Amy's mind when she looked at the Sichuan spicy wontons in red oil. This is Sichuan spicy wontons in red oil. Today is my attempt at making it. Do you guys want to try it? Mag smilingly said. If the hundreds of thousands of attempts in the test field for the god of cookery last night weren't counted, this would indeed be the first Sichuan spicy wontons in red oil that he cooked in reality. The sense of achievement was rather amazing when he saw this Sichuan snack that he loved appeared in this alternate world. It looks rather greasy. I will just eat the congee. Irina declined it, and went for the congee with pork and century egg. Her injured stomach needed comfort from the warm congee. Annie chose the Yangzhou fried rice. She also declined by shaking her head. Can I try one, please? Only Amy looked at Mag with anticipation. Of course. Mag picked up a small bowl, and scooped a bowl. For her. Only a real chowhound would dare to try different food. Amy picked up one wonton with the spoon. The bright red soup gave the wonton's skin a beautiful color. The meat's aroma slowly drifted over through the thin dough skin. Spring onions and cilantro were scattered over it, making it look very enticing. Amy pouted her lips, and blew at it before feeding it into her mouth gingerly. The soup was slightly hot and numbing, but it had a rich bone broth's taste. This was a bone broth that had been simmered overnight. It was a perfect union with the red sesame oil. The dough skin was thin and smooth, and it was fully filled with meat stuffing. After biting into it gently, the meat juice burst out in the mouth. The tender and fresh texture fusing with the slightly spicy soup was simply the most exquisite and beautiful clash. This mouthful was simply too fulfilling. System, please don't issue any more unreasonable missions such as asking me to make breakfast in the future. This is an insult to someone who has a father that has perfect culinary skills, Amy seriously said inwardly. Life experience system. How could a host issue requests for her system's missions? That was really unreasonable, okay. Mag indulgently said to Amy, I'll make you another bowl later if you like it. Father is the best, Amy said happily before continuing to eat the wontons. Mag picked up a spoon and started eating too. The so-called wontons were Sichuan-style wontons in his understanding. However, the wonton's skin was round, while the Sichuan's wonton's skin was square. Its size was slightly bigger compared to the small wontons of some places, yet it was smaller than some big wontons at some other places. The perfect size was when you were able to pop one into your mouth every time. Mag actually didn't like the wontons in clear soup very much. That scoop of red oil was equivalent to infusing a soul into it. It made him fall in love with the Sichuan spicy wontons in red oil. Mag tasted the soup first. The rich bone broth combined with the red oil that was painstakingly brewed. The roasted sesame floated on top of the soup. One could sense the layers of taste even with just one mouthful. It was exhilarating. Then, he ate the wonton. The handmade dough skin was soft and tender yet chewy. Upon biting it open, he discovered the pork meat filling had already nurtured the most delicious stuffing. It was the size that fitted an adult's mouth perfectly. At the same time, it provided the greatest sense of satisfaction. This helping of Sichuan spicy wontons in red oil had indeed lived up to his expectations. Even though Amy gave them a scare early in the morning, the breakfast still ended in a cordial atmosphere. They had nothing to do in the morning, so Mag made a pot of fruit tea after cleaning up, and the whole family sat around the table. Anna had already taken out her drawing supplies, and continued drawing. Irina looked at Mag, and smilingly asked, I heard that there was an increase in the number of customers yesterday. It's still some distance away from my first small target, Mag said humbly. How many customers is that? Maybe 1,000 customers, Mag replied with a smile. Ding, dong. Side mission released, the Old Father's Wish helps Saipan Tavern reach its 1,000th customer. You will gain a mysterious reward after completing the mission. Right then, the system sounded in Amy's mind. Can you even call that a mission? With Father's culinary skills, he can achieve that in a few days himself, Amy said perplexedly. System. You are indeed very confident about your father. Could the little mistress please try to complete the mission and actively take part in it? The final reward will be decided according to your participation. If the reward is still the king of jokes this time, I don't want it, Amy said disdainfully. Mag waved his hand in front of Amy and smiled. What are you thinking about in a daze, Amy? Not thinking about anything. When I was sleeping last night, I received a warning. 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 Please abide by the rules, little mistress. The self-destruction program will be activated once the system is exposed. The system's urgent voice sounded. Amy's voice halted immediately. What did you receive? Mag asked smilingly. Amy blinked, and then changed her story. I had a dream when I was sleeping. I dreamt of a very funny man. He said he was the king of jokes, and then he told me many jokes. Oh? Little Amy had such a funny dream. What funny jokes did that king of jokes tell you? Mag said with surprise. He said, you can actually drink water that is freshly boiled, as long as you're not afraid of being scalded. Even a monster would not hurt its own children, so the experts suggest kneeling and calling the monster whenever you meet one out there to increase your chances of survival. The ghost knocking on the door at night means that the ghost is rather polite. Mag and Irina listened to her with great interest, laughing hard occasionally. Even Annie, who was drawing, couldn't help putting down her pens, and listened to Amy tell jokes. Happiness points from Mag +1 happiness points from Annie +1 happiness points from Irina +1 happiness points from Irina +1 happiness points from Irina +1. Amy looked at the life experience points that kept popping up in her head, and got even more excited at telling the stories. Little Amy, did you hear all that in your dream? Irina was laughing so hard that her jaws were aching. Yup. Amy nodded. She also wanted to be an honest child, but the system wouldn't allow her to. This bad a system. Seems like Amy had a funny dream last night. Mag was still smiling. Although he wasn't as easily amused as Irina, he was still very much entertained by Amy's lame jokes. It was even more interesting, especially when coupled with her cute language. Then, can I tell the jokes to the customers in the future? Perhaps that will attract more customers to the tavern. Amy asked Mag this. Mag lamented. There were storytellers at the tea houses and taverns, but he had never seen a cute child tell jokes before. However, looking at Amy's expectant look and considering her previously excellent expression, Mag nodded with a smile. Of course. If you want to, little Amy, go ahead. Hee hee. Alrighty. Amy nodded happily. Irina rested at home for the whole morning. She went out again after lunch. She said she needed to return to Chaos City to settle some night elves matters. The Wind Forest was having some upheavals recently. It was the best opportunity for the night elves to retaliate. The two children stayed at home, while Mag went out, pretending to do some shopping as usual. This was Rodu, after all. Furthermore, the other shop owners had been paying attention to him in Saipan Tavern because he bought up half of Romo Street earlier. When Mag returned from the market with a basket, he bumped into Eofi, who had been following him for 3 blocks. What a coincidence, Mr. Hades, Eofi said to Mag with a smile. She wore a long burgundy red dress today. It emphasized her shapely figure perfectly. It must be a very special kind of providence. Mag nodded with a smile. He flicked a glance at her slightly quivering calves. The outdoor temperature should be around 0 degrees Celsius right now. The ice on the road hadn't melted yet. In this world where skin-colored pantyhose didn't exist, it was really hard on her to dress like this. Yes. I knew from the very first time that I met Mr. Hades that something special was going to happen between us. Eofi smiled seductively as she flicked her hair and pouted her red lips, showing her most charming angle to Mag, for example, bumping into each other on my way home from the market. Eofi looked taken aback. It's indeed rather special. Let's go to the market together sometime. Mag chuckled. Sure, I'll definitely go with you next time. Eofi nodded with an aggrieved gaze. How could there be such an unromantic and insensitive man? Usually, shouldn't the man say, let's sleep together whenever you are free? If he was a more sophisticated man, he would say, I want to wake up together with you. Look and see that your tavern is already doing quite well. I have spent quite some time and effort to gain my very first batch of customers. You're really outstanding, Eofi said. Really? I am just getting started, Mag said with a smile. Eofi. This is a rumor. Mag shook his head. The dishes that I made are much better than my liquor, Mag said confidently. Eofi stared at Mag, who had a confident smile on his face, with a frozen expression. "You are the boss of a tavern?" Eofi smilingly asked, "I wonder if I will have the chance to try the dishes that you make." Mag flicked a glance at her, and also smilingly said, "Although you are pretty, don't harbor too pretty thoughts." Eofi. She wanted to hit someone. "I want to hit your chest with my little fists. Until I break your ribs." After ending an enjoyable conversation with the sexy and beautiful, Mag returned to his tavern happily. This is infuriating. There is actually such a man in this world. Furthermore, why does he even have a wife who is much more beautiful than me? Eofi stomped her feet angrily. A cold wind blew over. She shivered and ran back to her tavern, hugging herself. To think that she spent 1 hour putting on makeup, put on her prettiest dress, and followed him around like a pervert for 1 hour in the cold wind to create this chance to bump into him. The little maid came over to put on the cape for Eofi, and looked at her expectantly. "Miss, were you successful? They've successfully sold you to Hades." Eofi pursed her lips. "Really?" the little maid said with surprise. "No. Would you need to be that happy if it was real?" Eofi gave her a disdainful look. The little maid pursed her lips and stole a peek at Eofi. Shaking her head, she said, "Not exactly. I still prefer to stay with Miss." Ho ho ee. As soon as Mag went in, Amy came to him, and asked, "Father, I saw that auntie from the opposite tavern stop you just now. Do you know each other? If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website mythanks." Mag was a little taken aback, and quickly explained, "Ah. That is just a friendly greeting between neighbors. Usually, such events don't need to be written down in the diary." However, this was the #1 book of the 4 great classical novels from the alternate world, after all. He didn't know what would happen when it just flew into some ordinary household. It's just a book. It should be nothing, Mag consoled himself. Due to being unfamiliar with the technique, he caused the accident. However, this gave Mag a reminder. Why did he have to use a pornographic book for practice? Mag closed the window, and picked up the fairies' traces in the fields to practice flying. Oh, yes. This was the ancient Chinese version. Indeed, using a cultivation novel made flying much smoother. Mag was having a lot of fun here. On the other hand, Eofi, who was propping her face on her hand and sulking by the window, was hit right in her face by a book that flew in. She almost died right on the spot. "Who smacked me with a brick?" Eofi got up from the floor, and removed the unidentified flying object from her face. The title "The Plum in the Golden Vase" was written on it. Oh, yes, she couldn't read Chinese words. Therefore, she didn't know what the words meant even when she saw them. Although she couldn't understand the title, there was also a beautiful woman revealing the top of her breasts on the cover. She was standing seductively next to the window while holding a short bamboo, and looking at a man standing downstairs smilingly. Ha, it was obvious that it wasn't some proper book. Hence, Eofi locked the door from the inside, and closed the window before she flipped open the book and started reading it. Mag placed the fairies' traces in the fields back on the topmost level of the bookshelf after he was done playing with it. Then, he went downstairs. He had long known how to maneuver a flying sword. However, this was very different from mind control. It depended on powerful strength and the connection that he built up with the Tiandu sword. His flying sword was more like a giant hidden weapon. Its fault tolerance was not high. However, if mind control was included in it, then it would give more possibilities to the flying sword and more possibilities to his fighting techniques. Of course, that would have to be developed and practiced. Amy stared at the sizzling meat, and gulped before saying, "Father, why are we not selling grilled meat? There will definitely be more customers coming here to drink if we sell grilled meat, right?" "Right. Furthermore, the combination of grilled meat with alcoholic drinks was irresistible. However, be it the roast beef kebabs, roast mutton kebabs, or roasted pig's eyes, they had all been introduced at Mamie restaurant. If they were introduced at Saipan Tavern, they would be exposed. Vanessa and Abraham had already come in search of one aroma. It was better for them to be more careful. Mag gave Amy 2 pieces of grilled meat. Shaking his head, he said, because Saipan Tavern will become Mamie restaurant if we sell grilled meat. Oh! Amy nodded. She popped a piece of meat into her mouth. After a while, she continued, then, can we increase the number of side dishes? The kinds that haven't appeared in our restaurant before. Of course, we can, but, Mag paused, and lamented, it's not easy to create a delicious side dish to go with the drinks. Ding dong! Side mission released, help father create a delicious side dish to go with the drinks. Mission reward, unknown. Are you going to accept the mission, little mistress? Right then, the system's voice popped up in Amy's mind. Ding! Mission released, could the host please create a new side dish to add on to the tavern's menu? Mission reward, receive 2 side dishes recipes. At the same time, the system's notification beeped in Mag's mind. Mag and Amy were both taken aback at the same time. Annie looked at the 2 of them with befuddlement. She picked up a piece of grilled wild boar meat, dipped it in the sweet and spicy sauce, and wrapped it in a piece of fresh lettuce leaf before biting into it. The sliced wild boar meat had already been marinated. The marbling allowed the meat to remain tender after grilling. The meat juice burst out in the mouth with just a gentle bite. The numbing spiciness and sweet spiciness created a beautiful melody by interweaving together. Together with the crunchy lettuce, it was absolutely satisfying. Cooking with father? It sounds so interesting. I accept it. Amy replied inwardly. Creating a new side dish with Amy. Mag agreed too after a brief moment of hesitation. After all, such buy one get 2 free deals didn't often happen with the system. Father, then can I create a side dish for the customers with you? Amy looked at Mag, and expectantly said, although I can't cook, I can eat it. See, what a reasonable request. Sure, of course. Mag nodded, a little surprised by Amy's enthusiasm. The little one had always been interested in eating, but she wasn't interested in the cooking process. However, she could also be interested in the failed products during his creation process. Since he had accepted the mission, Mag began to ponder what kind of side dish to add to the tavern's menu after lunch. Salads were naturally the easiest. After the practice with pig ears salad, pig tongue salad, and sliced beef and ox tongue in chili sauce, he was now very adept at making a salad's dressing. Moreover, among the salads that were suitable to eat with drinks, such as century egg salad, cucumber salad, chicken feet salad, they were all excellent. The pig tongue salad and pig ears salad are both quite greasy. It would be nice to have a refreshing and crunchy cucumber salad. Mag's eyes lit up as he had an idea. Century egg would easily remind others of the congee with pork and century egg in Mamie restaurant. After all, the century egg didn't exist in this world. Meanwhile, although the chicken feet salad was nice, it was troublesome to make. Be it the control of heat, the technique to process the chicken feet, or the chicken feet's marinade, they all needed to be tested again and again. Chopping cucumbers was different. Who didn't know how to chop cucumbers? Thinking of it, the cucumber was indeed a delicious and easy-to-use high-end ingredient. Sitting across from Mag with her chin propped on her hands and swinging her short legs, Amy stared at Mag for a long time before she couldn't help asking, "Father, what kind of dish should we make together?" "We are going to make a smashed cucumber salad. Let's go and try it out now." Mag rubbed the little one's head, and walked to the kitchen. There were different flavors of smashed cucumber salad. Some liked the sweet and savory one, while the others liked the spicy one. As for Mag, his favorite was the sour and spicy one. The refreshing sour and spicy smashed cucumber salad was not only great to eat with drinks, it was also excellent to eat with porridge. There weren't any cucumbers in the refrigerator, but Mag got a batch of them from the system, using the mission as an excuse. The long and straight cucumbers were about the size that could be easily grabbed by the hand. They were indeed the perfect size for making smashed cucumber salad. Is this the cucumber? Amy asked curiously. Yes. But why is the cucumber green? Mag was at a loss for words at that moment. The little one asked something that he had no idea about. Amy tiptoed and picked up a cucumber from the refrigerator. She brandished it around. It looks like a bludgeon. I'll go scare Ugly Duckling with it. Then, she went out with one cucumber, and placed it gently next to Ugly Duckling, which was snoozing away on the counter. Amy stepped back, and called out, "Ugly Duckling!" Meow! Ugly Duckling opened its eyes in a daze and answered before it saw the unknown long green object next to it. Meow! OABH! Ugly Duckling sprang up and leaped up a few meters into the air. It hit its head on the ceiling, and then fell to the ground. It scrambled to Annie, who was drawing at the side, and hid behind her. Then, it poked out its head to size up that cucumber on the counter warily. Negative emotions from Ugly Duckling +3 negative emotions from Ugly Duckling +2 negative emotions from Ugly Duckling +1, Amy laughed even harder. Mag was also laughing. A new piece of knowledge had appeared, cats in the alternate world were afraid of cucumbers too. Ugly Duckling, you are so stupid. It's just a cucumber. Amy picked that cucumber and waved it around. Ugly Duckling stared at it warily as it remained hiding behind Annie. All right, I'll stop teasing you. Amy went into the kitchen with the cucumber, and asked Mag, "Father, how are we going to eat this cucumber?" "Actually, we can eat this cucumber right away after washing it." Mag took the cucumber from Amy, ran it under the water, and broke it into two. "Give this portion to Annie, and you can eat this portion." Mag gave Amy the cucumber. The system's cucumber was green and crunchy. It even had a faint fragrance after Mag broke it apart. It looked just like a kind of fruit. Moreover, the entire growing process was organic without using any pesticide, so they could eat it right away after rinsing it with water. "Can we eat it right away?" Amy took a bite of the cucumber. Crunch! It was refreshing with a hint of sweetness. Amy's eyes toured into crescents. After swallowing it, she took another bite, and happily said, "The cucumber is delicious." Chapter 2049 A perfect smashed cucumber salad. A cucumber was placed on the chopping board with its skin left intact after being washed cleanly. The skin was the essence of the smashed cucumber salad. Of course, that was the same for marinated cucumber as well. Mag held Fathead Fish, and placed it between his eyes solemnly. "Now!" Mag lifted the cleaver, moving as fast as lightning. The moment the cleaver landed, he rotated his wrist, and instead of chopping, he smacked. Before the cleaver reached the chopping board, he slowed down suddenly to pat the cucumber gently. Smack! 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 The round cucumber was quickly smashed flat, and its juice squirted everywhere. "Cucumber, I'm broken." Mag frowned a little when he looked at the smashed cucumber on the chopping board. As he used too much force, the interior of the cucumber was overly squashed and destroyed, making it a smudgy mess and a little ugly. Fail! Mag threw the smashed cucumber into a basin at the side, and took another cucumber. The key of the smashed cucumber salad was the word smashed. This action was the perfect union of power and technique, and it was crucial to control the power used. Smashing the cucumber could allow the flavors to go in better, and it would also taste better than sliced cucumbers. The cucumber had to be smashed, but not completely disintegrated, and the interior of the cucumber could not be squashed. Otherwise, it would lose its refreshing taste. This step made the smashed cucumber salad a very difficult dish that required technique. Mag recalled his smacking move just now, and tried to control his strength and the angle of his smacking. After that, he wielded his cleaver again. Smack! 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 In no time at all, the basin beside him was filled with smashed cucumbers. "Father, are these cucumbers what we will be eating tonight? I think it's a little too much." Amy could not help but speak up when she saw Mag pick up yet another cucumber. "Oh, no, these are all cucumbers that I did not smash well. I can't use them to make smashed cucumber salad," Mag said with a shake of his head. "In that case, what will these cucumbers be used for?" Amy asked, puzzled. "They will be thrown away," Mag said. "That's a lot of cucumbers. What a pity to throw them away." Amy took the basin with her. As she ate the smashed cucumbers, she said, "In that case, hand them over to me. I'll eat them all up." Mag did not doubt her words at all. However, this had also proven his conjecture right. Amy was here for the food indeed. Mag shook his head with a smile, and continued to smack the cucumbers in his hand. Smack! 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 He did not use too much or too little strength. Each smack allowed the side of the cleaver to get in contact with a segment of a cucumber, making it crack perfectly. The cucumber was covered in large and small cracks, but it was still whole. "Perfect!" Mag nodded as he looked at the cracked cucumbers on the chopping board. After that, he cut them into small pieces. The cut cucumbers split naturally into even pieces. The cucumbers were covered with cracks, but they still looked very full and juicy. The cucumbers were prepared. Next, it was the flavoring sauce. The flavoring sauce was the core of the taste for smashed cucumber salad. Cucumbers were light and refreshing, so the flavoring sauce would determine their taste. As a lover of sour and spicy smashed cucumber salad, Mag had already drafted a recipe for the flavoring sauce in his mind: soy sauce, vinegar, a little sugar, oyster sauce, garlic, red oil, and cayenne pepper. Although Mag had not made this dish before, he had eaten a lot of smashed cucumber salad. After this period of understanding and familiarizing himself with the different seasonings, Mag could already guess what kind of seasoning was added to a dish based on his memory. Of course, the specific amount still required trial and error. After peeling off the garlic skin and pounding it down, Mag started his meticulous seasoning, as though he was making some chemical medicine. The red oil was pre-made since it was needed in the pig ears salad and pig tongue salad. Too sour. Too sweet. Too salty. Too spicy. Mag tried the sauce he made every time and frowned. Amy returned to the kitchen with the large basin in his arms. There was a row of sauces by her side. She was eating the cucumbers happily with the sauces. "Is it good?" Mag placed the unsatisfactory sauce down as he spoke to Amy, who was munching on the cucumbers like a little squirrel. It's good." Amy nodded. "And it is getting better. Try this, then." Mag placed a plate of sauce in front of Amy. Amy picked up a piece of cucumber, and dipped it in the sauce before putting it in her mouth. "It's sour and spicy, delicious. An almost perfect dipped cucumber." A validation report appeared in Amy's mind. "Although it's good, I think it can be improved to make it perfect," Amy told Mag. "Oh." Mag was slightly shocked. The little fellow loved to praise him. He did not expect her to give her a not perfect review. However, that was what he was thinking too. The sourness and spiciness were done perfectly, but he still felt that something was lacking. "Father, is this cucumber eaten dipped?" Amy asked. "Right. I should mix them together and see the results." Mag's eyes lit up. He was so caught up with the process that he neglected the possible reaction that would happen when both were combined. Although the cucumber did not have much taste, it had its unique fragrance. On top of that, the cucumber was very juicy. Therefore, when the cucumber was mixed with the sauce would become lighter due to the cucumber's juice. This was also something that Mag had to take into consideration. Smashed cucumber salad is a salad. You don't eat it as a dip, Mag said with a smile. He smacked another cucumber, and made the sauce according to the previous recipe. He drizzled the sauce over the cucumber, mixed them well, and placed them in the refrigerator. Soon after, Mag took the smashed cucumber salad out from the refrigerator. There was indeed more liquid in the plate. However, as the dish was refrigerated, the amount of liquid that seeped out was not too much. The cucumber was still very green, and there were some garlic bits and red cayenne pepper decorating it. The sour and spicy fragrance wafted over, making one swallow their saliva instinctively. Try this. Mag took 2 pairs of chopsticks, and passed one of them to Amy while he picked up a piece for himself. The sourness of vinegar blossomed in his mouth immediately. The spiciness followed soon after. The fragrance of the red oil and cayenne pepper infused together perfectly, bringing out the spiciness even more. Mag bit into the cucumber. It was refreshing and crunchy. On top of that, the refreshing juice from the cucumber squirted out in his mouth, neutralizing the sourness and spiciness perfectly. This is it. Mag's eyes lit up. He finally found the key to its imperfection. It was the original taste of cucumber. Now, this smashed cucumber salad had reached his expectations. Although it could not be compared to a real master's, it was enough to have with porridge and wine. Amy took a piece of cucumber. A perfect smashed cucumber salad, shocking culinary skills. Chapter 20 50 Attack on Cucumber. Points were deducted as too much juice had seeped out of the cucumber. It's not my fault that there's too much liquid. I didn't do anything to it. Mag shrugged innocently. There are many things to be improved on for this smashed cucumber salad. It has yet to reach the system standard of perfection. Please continue practicing and researching, the system said strictly. Stupid system asking for so much. Mag pressed his lips together as he looked at the smashed cucumber salad in front of him worriedly. Comment Father, this smashed cucumber salad is really good. The customers would definitely love it, Amy said happily as she placed the basin in her arms down while eating the smashed cucumber salad. It is good, but it still hasn't reached the standard where it could be served to customers, Mag said with a shake of his head. This is not good? But the SY warning. 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 Please abide by the secret rule. The life experience system's warning alert rang immediately. SY. Seriously, little Amy thinks it's perfect already. Little Amy swallowed her words. 7 There is too much liquid seeping out. Besides, there is even more liquid now. This means that the taste of the cucumber will decline with time. This is a very bad weakness. Mag shook his head. He also realized the severity of the problem when he saw the increasing liquid in the plate. Drinking was an activity that would last a rather long time. If a side dish was unable to stay as good as it was after a long time, it would be a failed dish. The cucumber's texture relied on the juice in it. Loss of liquid would result in its texture going bad. If Mag could not resolve the problem of the liquid seeping out, the smashed cucumber salad could not be served. System, in that case, have I completed my mission? Amy asked inwardly. There are no new dishes on the menu, but you've given your rating just now. It was a perfect smashed cucumber salad, Amy said seriously. System. According to the life experience system standards, it was indeed already a perfect smashed cucumber salad. It was suitable to go with rice or porridge. However, the problem now lay with the fact that the little mistress's father was not satisfied with this standard of smashed cucumber salad. What a stubborn old man! The system tagged Mag. Stupid system, you're not allowed to speak badly about my father. Amy said angrily. All right, little mistress. The life experience system was in a rather awkward position now. It was the one who gave the review, but now the dish did not make it onto the menu. That meant that its standards could not be compared to a human's, and this was terrible. As the dish did not reach the creator's expectation, the system will deem the mission unfinished. Please continue to assist your father in improving the dish to complete the mission. The system's voice rang. Humph! Liar! Amy said angrily. Putting plant oil in beforehand may be able to reduce the amount of liquid seeping out. You can try to hint your father in this direction, the system quickly suggested. Amy looked at Meg, who was troubled, and suggested, Father, why don't we try mixing the red oil and the cucumbers together first? Mix the red oil first. Meg was a little surprised at Amy's suggestion, but after thinking about it for a while, he nodded and said, Teal, give it a shot. The recipe was already perfect, and Meg could not think of any better way to improve it yet. However, Amy's words did remind him of something. The sequence in which the different seasonings were added might be important. After smashing another cucumber, Meg sliced it horizontally this time to increase its surface area. After that, he poured a spoonful of red oil on the cucumber, mixed it well, and allowed the red oil to completely cover the surface of the cucumber before pouring in the flavoring sauce. After the well-mixed cucumber was put in the refrigerator, the father and daughter duo waited patiently at the side. A while later, Meg opened the refrigerator to retrieve the smashed cucumber salad. It's less watery. Amy exclaimed. Yes. Meg's eyes lit up as well when he saw the significantly smaller amount of liquid in the plate. Let's give it a try. Meg picked up a piece of cucumber and put it in his mouth. It was still as sour and spicy, but the texture of the cucumber was even better. It had become crunchier and juicier, much to one's surprise. An acceptable smashed cucumber salad can be placed in the menu. Ding! Congratulations on completing the dish creation mission. 2 side dishes had been released. Please accept them. The system's voice sounded in Meg's mind. Little Amy, you're awesome. We've made a good side dish successfully. Meg said happily as he picked Amy up and spun her around twice. Meg did not know how long this smashed cucumber salad would have taken to complete if it were not for Amy's reminder. Joy from Meg +1, joy from Meg +1, that's great. This cucumber is really delicious. Amy was all smiles as well. Ding! Congratulations on helping your father create a new side dish. Mission reward, a set of miniature kitchenware. Side quest, attack on cucumber. Please learn to make this dish and experience cooking for real. Amy's life experience system released the mission reward and a new mission at the same time. You're a terrible system. Amy frowned. 22. System. T've already told you not to give me any cooking missions. Whom are you trying to look down on? And whom are you trying to make things difficult for? Amy said seriously. The life experience system exists to allow Little Mistress to have a better life experience. There may be difficulties, but as long as you overcome the challenges, everything will become beautiful scenery along the journey, the system said. You are the challenge that I want to overcome the most right now. Amy pouted. 7 Be good. The rewards coming up would be even better, and there might even be a snack hamper, the system said in a gentle tone. Really? Really? All right. I will believe you once more. Amy nodded. After that, she looked at Meg, and said, Father, can I learn this? Meg looked into Amy's azure blue eyes blinking adorably at him, and there was only one thought in his head, say yes. However, his rationale won, and he said, if you like it, little Amy, I can make it for you. But I want to learn. Amy reached her hand out, grabbed 2 of Meg's fingers, and swayed them from side to side as she pleaded, I want to learn a simple dish too. That way, I can make it for everyone. Meg's heart was melted by the little fellow's adorableness. The burnt fried rice, chaotic kitchen, and more were all thrown to the back of his head. Meg agreed, saying, all right, I'll teach you how to make the smashed cucumber salad. Hee hee. I knew father was the best, Amy said happily with a smile. In that case, we have to start learning from smashing cucumbers. Mag picked out 2 cucumbers from the refrigerator, washed them, and placed them on the chopping board. After that, he picked up fathead fish. Meanwhile, Amy also pulled out her miniature kitchenware, which consisted of knives, a chopping board, and more.